Ah, we got sound. Okay. So we have somewhere between 1 and 3 feet of snow. So basically, my whole city's built on a hill, and there's all sorts of grade separations between roads and railroads and shit. So if snow was just falling on a flat surface, it would pile up, 1 foot to 3 foot tall or whatever. Keep fucking pinging the router. You're so incredibly talented. Keep pinging the router. You're the greatest hacker in the world. Oh my God. You stopped us from being online because I don't like pedophiles or whatever you said about us. Are you done? Are you done? Because you're waving a pedophile flag right now. You're going to fight for the... Are you done? Okay, so we've got snow out here. And I'll put it to you like this. Like if you go under a bridge, driving, walking, whatever, a foot of snow pushed up to the side becomes 3 feet or whatever. Yeah, you're walking in 3 dimensions. And your feet are kind of doing this weird fucking... So we got an not a double-decker bus, a double-long bus, pointed the wrong way, or in other words, it's on the wrong side of the street, blocking the whole southbound here. We got so many fucked up things out there. And we got about 3... business report. Let's see if we catch this business report. I can't imagine there's anything useful in it, but... What the hell is it?
Record set in 2020 by about 20%.
Hey, remember 2020?
So about 667,000 residential properties changed hands in 2021, and that led to very low inventory, which in turn is also driving up prices.
I'm trying to remember the numbers. Ontario or Canada? What is this? Toronto?
BMO Capital Markets.
The question is,
Jesus saves the Bank of Montreal.
And the reality is, it's because we've seen a dramatic increase in housing demand. So unit sales in 2021 were about 30% above the 10-year average. If you look at the rate at which new listings came to the market, it was actually perfectly normal.
Now, the next Bank of Canada interest rate announcement is a week from this Wednesday. And we also got the Bank of Canada's Outlook surveys today. So both businesses and consumers believe the pace of price increases will continue to be hot for longer. 2/3 of the firms surveyed expect the annual rate of inflation will remain above 3% for the next 2 years. The Canadian dollar right now is moving higher. It's up by 1/5 of a cent. 79.
So they get mad. When we come on with sound, they get mad, and then they disappear again. This counter thing, I guess, be on this side here for you.
21,532.
Don't worry.
It is coming off a winning week and a gain today of 0.8%. Now, U.S. markets are closed, so commodities are trading electronically. We have gold up by $2, $18.19.
I got full moon. Is that a holiday? Is Monday the 17th of January a holiday because of the full moon?
Canaccord Genuity, one of the better performers on Bay Street today. The stock
that's
getting
a
close
pipeline. That's
to
a
its
blood
highest level in
pipeline
about
right there.
2 months. Right now, it's up by 2.8% to $15.76. Third quarter guidance from the company did beat analysts' expectations. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
Are you
ready? Are you ready?
It's the virtual Toronto International Boat Show, helping you get ready for boating season. Connect with exhibitors, attend seminars, and plan your summer. Shop for boats.
Yeah, that's part of the marketing. So you may have figured out if you watch these videos, you follow along, that I got a thing for advertising. Badvertising all the way up to like the most genius of marketing. I don't know what the fuck I did to this that I can't fucking clear that out. But yeah, you're gonna sell boats in the summer. You gotta advertise all winter. Holy shit! I can see a little split. This is more surprising that I can only see a little speck of light than it was my eyelid. It's okay. Than if it was completely blocked off. There's a little speck this way. Okay, why can't I get that open? God damn it. Okay, we gotta figure out a better way to do this. Fuck.
Blowing the snow around. We've already reached our guaranteed high now for tonight, down to -11 with a wind chill near -20. Tomorrow we will see some sunshine.
We could have 3 feet of snow.
So it's going to be a cold one to shovel all of
This
that
is a loosely arranged, semi-solid grouping collection of...
City News Time.
semi-solid crystals and shit,
Toronto's #1
down to minus 20 or whatever, minus 10 or whatever.
This is City News 680 everywhere.
Good afternoon. It's Monday, January 17th. I'm Sarah Parrott, and I'm Irene Precklett. Here's what's making news this hour.
It's not a blizzard anymore, but the snow is still falling, and that's causing issues for crews trying to clean it and major cancellations. The City News 680 Extreme Weather Center is open.
Stay home. That message from police today as a winter storm warning is in effect for Toronto.
You stay home, pussy.
Are a mess and snow.
Hey, you got my fucking watch? Do you have my watch? Do you see how when you... Oh, we'll give this message to the news and they'll release the message. You're inciting violence.
Military response is warranted.
Not the Raptors game we were hoping for tonight. Plus, let's talk actual tennis. At the
Now remember, instead of ramping up the numbers like we were supposed to do, you don't know what the numbers means? The game, it's the numbers game. It's a numbers game. No, it's not. But
interest rates are going up next week. Business at 56. City News Time.
so the Canada First defense strategy we didn't do for some reason. What's the word? Attrition. Instead of ramping up enrollment like we were supposed to, we did the opposite. So a year ago, we knew there aren't enough people to train new recruits into the Army. Yeah, attrition went to the point where you can't bring new people into the fucking Army. Oh, we can do it, but we just have to give them an exemption on training. So you're less qualified than I am. So you don't have the apologetics. So BC, because of poor planning, because they're all junkies. Yes, you are. What's your long-term plan? Getting AIDS and dying, right? No, my long-term plan is tuberculosis and hepatitis C. Right. So every piece of crap in Toronto, we push it to the west. Okay? It gets pushed right through the prairies, over the Rockies, and into Vancouver. It's like a hump yard. We just push it, and it goes up and over, and it stays on that side. I've seen for 35 years now, you people can't think for shit. So you get 48 degree, what was it? 49 point something degrees, whatever. 48 degrees in the summer and then minus. How did you get fucking snow in Vancouver? Mother Nature, Father Time, and God hate you. Apparently.
Parkway from the 401 to the Gardner until the snow can be cleared.
So if the military is busy everywhere in Canada and everywhere around the world, who are you expecting to come help you when you call the Army?
Let's shop better at tsc.ca.
Oh, well, they told us we didn't need the Army.
Okay, we finally have some summary by environment.
Remember,
Canada.
Justin Trudeau has 2 Canadian Forces babysitters.
Centimeters on top of these totals. Pearson
How am I going to like this?
reporting 32 centimeters as of 1 p.m. Downtown 35 centimeters as of 1 p.m. Peterborough 36. Ottawa 41 centimeters of snow. And that is from snow stations. Now, we also have volunteer snowfall amounts received into the Storm Prediction Center at EC and areas like St. Catharines, a storm spotter there, 50 centimeters was recorded. Kitchener 26, Orangeville 25. So this is just to give you an idea, general idea of how much snow we've seen.
30.
Now we are still under winter storm warnings here in the GTA, but the blizzard warnings have dropped. Light snow falling at Pearson -4 with a gusty wind. Guaranteed high -3. City News Time 1:34.
Remember, yesterday they didn't know it was going to snow today. They didn't know. Light snow.
Event in southern Ontario, including here in the GTA, with a winter storm warning in place. Snow
That's all we got.
has slowed just a little, but it continues to cause major problems for both drivers and pedestrians, with transit services struggling to keep up. Both Metrolinx and the TTC are experiencing significant delays.
By the way, the Metrolinx line.
She's at the Extreme Weather Center and joins us live with the latest on the snowy situation. Bowman.
Snowy situation.
Subaru, welcome to Uncommon Winter Capability. As you just heard from just
By the way, if you're driving a Subaru and you're still spinning the wheels, hand in your license. Put the keys on the wall. Don't ever get in the car again, because you're going to kill somebody. And unfortunately, it won't just be you.
By the time everything everything is all said and done, but those rapidly accumulating snowfall rates of 6 to 10 centimeters an hour, that has eased. Things are starting to break up.
So that's about 2.5 to 4 inches.
As we move through the afternoon. Light snow, then some flurries, still blowing and drifting around as the winds will continue to be quite strong
50,
even into the evening hours.
2 and about 3/8,
or commute, specifically public transit.
5/16 or something.
Lines were shut down, including the SRT.
No, 3/8.
Young and Bloor subway lines. I had a chance to speak to Stuart Green just now from the TTC, and he says they're working on getting that all back up and running for the commute home.
Well, so that's work that's underway right now. We're making progress in terms of the open cut on the subway. But again, TTC notices will have the best up-to-date information. So we would definitely advise you to go check ahead.
Go to the Twitter account, because we give our emergency alerts over Twitter, and that's how 23 people got shot. Hey, you run a business, or you represent the public of a business that gets robbed twice at the same location without having any money on site.
Well, it's an absolute mess on the highways today, with some having to close so that
those booths are not bulletproof.
And now the southbound DVP is still closed right now from the 401 down to the Gardner.
Yeah, because we push all the snow for some reason. We try to push it into the sewers, push it wherever we want it to go. They dump all the snow in the Don Valley. And guess what? The road is level with the river. What do you think happens when the snow gets dumped in there?
Our traffic callers are echoing each other today.
We are here for 3 hours. Like the traffic lights.
You hear how useless you are? We already know. Oh, big problems that everyone's going to call about. I better call in.
Ontario Provincial Police say snowplows.
511 is traffic information for the provincial highways.
Is recommending turning off your traction control if you are blocking people behind you and your wheels are spinning slowly.
I've got quite a few vehicles cleared already just by turning off your traction control. Hopefully that's good advice. Try it.
And if you've been calling CAA South Central Ontario for assistance, it says it's receiving around 500 calls an hour. Its focus now is responding to high priority calls first, such as those stranded on roads and highways. CAA is providing tips for stranded motorists. You can find that information at citynews.ca. Michelle Morton, City News.
Well, imagine being stranded in the ditch and seeing the premier rolling up to help you. City's Richard Southern is...
Yeah, because he actually lives here. Surprise, surprise. Did you see how normalized they've made it? That the police are not from this country. Neither are the soldiers. No, they're not. Better look up the rules.
I got the Ford 150 4x4, so I got a tether in the back. My biggest thing is on some of these cars, you try to get underneath them. I'm worried about pulling the bumper off.
Premium, we've seen a video by a guy who you literally drove home in your truck.
Doug Ford. I'm a taxi driver today.
Yeah, because it was just him and I, and he was deep into it. We couldn't get him out, so I just asked him, where do you live?
Premier was just over 23 years ago. The late Mel Lastman called in the Army to shovel the snow.
Died the same day as Ann Rice.
Well, I don't know. I think we can handle it ourselves.
Despite him being out himself, the Premier is urging everyone to stay home unless it's absolutely necessary.
World's largest subnational debt or world's smallest national debt?
Storms that had Lastman call in the Army 23 years ago. A total of 118 centimeters of snow fell over 3 days in 1999 on January 2nd and 3rd and January 13th. Our weather specialist, Denise Andriacci, says the unofficial total so far for today is 38 centimeters. Health Canada has approved our country's first antiviral therapeutic pill to...
Do you want to know why it's unofficial? Because it's still snowing, stupid.
Green light for use in adults, and Dr. Supriya Sharma with Health Canada calls it an important development in this health crisis.
The authorization today provides a new tool in the toolkit against COVID-19 at a crucial time in the pandemic.
No, the authorization means you think it's good enough to write it into a law, and that's why you get this exemption backdoor process in the legislation for people like you. They haven't done any fucking studies on this shit. None.
It won't be given to those already in hospital. For that goal, it is 89% effective with higher risk patients, and officials say provinces should prioritize groups like the immunocompromised and people 60 years and up who live in...
So, immunocompromised people Immunocompromised people cannot produce, an immune response. Giving us 6 shots will not do it. The companies that make these vaccines told you will not be able to use the current vaccines against Delta or Omicron. Yes, they did. The CEOs came out and said it. You've been told for 25 months now that you cannot, actually you've been told for at least 30 years, because I've known since I was like 8 or 7, you cannot vaccinate your way out of an epidemic or a pandemic. Oh, polio. Chlorinated water, septic fields. This is what actually happened. Okay? This is where you again want to pretend, oh, the army's violent. If you want to be in the army, you're a bad person. I'm going to sit here and watch the people I don't like get murdered by somebody else, but you're bad. No. Who do you think dug the fucking ditches, the wells, and the latrines, and all that shit? The number 2 construction battalion. That's right. Polio was wiped out with clean water, potable water, and sewerage. That's a fact. Okay. How did you wipe it out if you didn't vaccinate the whole world? I don't have a polio shot. How did you wipe it out? No, it's a virus that exists. It doesn't have to be alive and continuously alive generation to generation. If somebody sneezes or coughs in a room, an airborne virus will survive in a viable format for a year. Oh, I'm wearing a mask. I don't care if you're wearing a mask. I breathe oxygen. I'm wearing a mask. This is what I keep hearing every fucking day. Every time I say there's no oxygen in this room or whatever, I get the same response back that the person's wearing a mask.
There goes Dr. Isaac Bogosh with us earlier on the morning show. We'll step aside, take a break. You're listening to the Jeff MacArthur Show. Stay with us.
Out to the roads with a check on the drive with Chopper Track.
It's very.
Okay, so every fucking store I go into, you've got the air turned off, and you all want to play 2 ways to the middle. If I say air, you think air conditioning. If I say oxygen, you tell me I'm hallucinating. Okay, remember, if I say I got sickle cell, they tell me, no, I don't, because I'm white. Then they tell me I'm lying about sickle cell because half-breed nigger lovers lie. Okay, and I just want to thank YouTube for letting me say half-breed nigger lovers as many times as I do and understanding that there's context. Because every time I report to the world that somebody called me a nigger, Facebook kicks me off for a month. That's right. If you point out racism exists, Facebook will cut you off. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to try to run this video. So about a month ago, I was saying that if you have to go to this Service Ontario place in the Canadian Tire, get it done quick. I'm still waiting for my health card in the mail. Understand this. I already did the whole front end retail level shit. I'm waiting for the fucking thing to come in the mail, right? Deadline's February 22nd, which is 31 plus 4 days, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 36 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 plus 31. And so anyway, everywhere I go, they got the fans turned off, the air supply systems turned off. Like, people really think, oh, out of sight, out of mind. You don't know that I'm suffocating you and pumping car exhaust into your house because you're a dumb nigger that doesn't know, and the carbon monoxide makes it so you can't think. So you don't know, and you can't prove. You can't say that's a hate crime because you didn't hear him say that, and you can't prove. Yes, I can. I got camera. Okay, so yes, I can. And I know I'm supposed to be going, oh, all these people calling me these names. Since all your friends are meth heads, we ain't losing. We ain't running. Remember, so on this channel, this string of videos, so at the end, the little thing's going to pop up here to take you to the uploads if you want to. And it'll be a playlist, so you can go through all of them in one convenient fucking playlist format and URL or whatever. December 21st, 2019 is when we first heard about this, not March or June. Oh, he had a bandana and it wasn't even COVID. Yeah, because them Jamaica, I can't even fucking come up with how we've been hated for so long up here. We don't even care. But Jamaicans don't usually get sickle cell, right? Right. Highest rate of sickle cell in the world, and the developed world as well. Depending how you want to look at that, the Western Hemisphere, the Northern Hemisphere. But Jamaicans don't usually get sickle cell. Right. They don't usually get. Right. This is the shit they say to me. They don't usually catch a genetic disorder. Oh dear, what's happening now?
Only when you see everything stops. So when they all go, then it's back over the chest. Kilogram, I'ma get my brother a plus. I'm a fight war for your boss, so fucked up. Each chapter like the vision stand up, now let's try. Cause when we step in the building, realize you hear guns drop. In this month, we got clocks times 20, so what? If you stand in the way of my bills, get right. Better get that clientele, do you not? Ain't no motherfucking games, I get that. In the hood shopping, ain't nothing changed. Soldiers that I roll with, back. My homies stay bars, open up fingers, sipping on some. We are like strangers, dug in my blood from the very first day. Certified DA official, don't play. Go the other way, don't come around here. Catch you sleeping on me, leave holes in your gas. I walk in like a president do. I got numbers like a Mexican who. I'm next to win too. I've been up on my grizzly. They looking at me like, who the fuck is he really? I thought I done told them. I got more momentum than a rolling. I'm poking, I'm provoking. Like me in a coffin. I'm dirty when I kill it. Like a little fishy on the skillet. I'ma cook it, I'ma chuck it, I'ma skin it. I'ma eat it, I'ma finish, I'm a rider. Till the day I die, cause I'm off as a conqueror. Extraterrestrial, I'm a fucking Martian. I'm just getting started. Why you squatting on the roads that I march with? I'm off in the black Cadillac in the Tompa. Hanging out the window with a bottle in my hand. I'm stepping up a black rubber band. We in the hood shopping, ain't nothing changed. Soldiers that I roll with, back. My homies stay bars, open up fingers, sipping on some. We are like strangers, dug in my blood from the very first day. Certified DA official, don't play. Go the other way, don't come around here. Catch you sleeping on me, leave holes in your gas. We in the hood shopping, ain't nothing changed. Soldiers that I roll with, bang.
We had a record a number of years ago where we had 12,000 calls in one day. It's actually over 20,000, but we serviced 12,000 calls in one day. This storm probably is worse than that from my recollection. The one advantage is that a lot of people have already been working from home, and a lot of
so it's a full moon.
People were already at home. But
my court date's tomorrow for being assaulted by white people.
We still have a lot of people out and about, and so
and it's in a plea court.
If there's no need, we are definitely at
and I've still not had one interaction with the justice system in regards to
we'll
it.
Get to people if they're having problems at home when we can, but that could possibly not. That's most likely not going to be today if you're at home safe.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, we're not overblowing things here. You're absolutely right. I mean, there's so much blowing snow and so much else going on right now. I literally am about a 5-minute drive to the studios here. I didn't think I was going to make it here this morning. That's just how bad things have been. So, yeah, that is good advice. Is if you don't need to be on the roads, absolutely.
These guys work like a 3-hour shift. How the fuck is he still there?
This afternoon.
No, they show up at 4:30 in the fucking morning, bro. That ain't no joke. Radio is hardcore.
Anybody who might find themselves stuck on the side of the road, stuck on the roadway.
Yes. So if you do find yourself out and about and something's happened and you can't keep being mobile, if possible, obviously pull over. If it's a highway, try and get to a shoulder, a right shoulder. If it's a left shoulder, try and make sure your car is out of the lane of traffic as much as possible. You know, really trying to make yourself visible. So put on your hazards. You know, we're not recommending people get out. If you're on a highway, please don't get out. In this weather, visibility is really terrible, and you know, we don't want any more incidents on top of the already challenging and scary experiences of being stuck on a highway. But even this applies to all roadways. If you find yourself in a situation, try and pull your car as far over to the right as possible. Put your hazards on, keep visible. You know, if you're heading out, because you have to head out, make sure you've got a charged phone. You know, it would be great if people had emergency kits in their cars. If you haven't done that yet, something to put
a charged phone. Time. Hey, who the fuck are you gonna call, stupid?
Try and get a sense of where your location is.
Oh, a tow truck, a snowplow, 911. And how are they gonna get there?
Try and get your bearings as to a specific location, you know, because our drivers have to find you. And you know, they need as best information as possible. Where you are in order, you know, it's already a little bit challenging to move about, but if it's a
if you're in a little tiny white car, fuck you.
Anything like that in a city, you know, nearest intersection, an address if you can see it. So those are some of the things that we're asking people to think about and keep safe.
That's some great advice, and also
keep safe.
That list,
keep
just
safe.
Sure that you're dressed
keep
for
safe.
The elements, because I think so many people might get into their car from their garage.
Keep safe.
Really
keep safe. Keep safe. Put his blood. Wash me with his blood. Wash me with his blood. What does this shit mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you telling me to wear a condom when I go driving, or are you telling me not to go driving?
Point B, and you're going to be, you know, in a warmed up car and then head into your warmed up location. People are getting stranded. They're finding their cars they can't drive them to where they thought, and you know, and having to leave and go back home and whatnot. So it's not a day that you want to be in a hoodie and running shoes, right? In a lot of places, I mean, even outside my door.
I got news for you. It's not cold out there.
Are higher. Depending where the wind has blown it. So really needing people to be really aware of the road situation and what they need to do differently today. And again, stay home if you can.
You bet. Joined by Teresa DeFelice from the CAA. Teresa, also wanted to speak to you this afternoon about some safety advocates who are sounding the alarm regarding the amount of tech we're finding nowadays in our cars and just how distracting it is or can be. What does the CAA think about this? Has it become a safety issue, the amount of tech and all of the fancy displays we find in the dashboard of our cars?
Yeah, so some of the work that you're talking about is work being done through our CAA national group as well. So, you know, this is something that we've been looking at and talking to motorists about and drivers about. It's something that we're looking at, and always when the technologies are coming out. Distracted driving is a really key priority safety area for CAA. You know, it is a problem when we have all the fun gadgets, and it's great to have so many fun gadgets that help us stay connected and have the comfort of home. But driving a car is not your home. It's a huge skill.
Legally, it is.
To operate a huge machinery vehicle. And so, you know,
it's so huge.
Nice to have.
No, it's not. You're at the entry level of road vehicles.
Your music.
Overland vehicles. You're at the entry level.
Becoming more technologically advanced with a lot of safety features, which are supposed to help us. But if we're not understanding how all of those things can mix, it can create a situation where safety, you're more distracted than you normally would be.
Yeah, it's amazing. You see ads for cars today. I saw one watching the football games yesterday where somebody gets in their car and says, "This is not my car. It's my 5 p.m. decompression zone." They're sort of seeing it, you know, with all of the tech as an escape from reality. I saw another ad today where the car maker was talking about Apple CarPlay, and I think it's called Pro Pilot something or another detection. It used to be, you know, they would sell us on the horsepower and how fast the car went, but now it's just a case of being rolling tech on wheels. And I'm just wondering if part of the distraction too is
just rolling tech on wheels. It's rolling tech on wheels.
Operate exactly how we.
You realize a car is technology, right?
And you know, when you're behind the wheel driving your car, that's the last thing you want to.
How come these black people won't let go of these issues about black people?
Absolutely. While you're driving is not the time in the act of driving to figure out how your, you know, lane assist works, or you know, when your bells and whistles.
That's an automatic.
And your cars are working. that's not the time to figure out how to use them, right? So it is going to require people to take some time to understand.
I hear it digging, but I'm not going to pay attention to it because they told me not to. Are you retarded?
So that when they
You're fucking retarded.
An alert system, they understand what it means. The other thing is that manufacturers are
it's been going off since they bought the car.
People like the modern conveniences of being
moderate. The moderate
on their mobile devices or from home to their infotainment systems in their cars.
Not edutainment, infotainment. What we want you to know.
Being distracted. We did a survey in 2021 in March where 39% of people did indicate they understand they're very distracted while they're operating a vehicle. So it's a balance of giving people what they want, but recognizing that people have to choose the behaviors to make sure that their drive is safe, not just for themselves, but for everybody else around them, pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, other cars.
And to that point, I only got about 30 seconds, but let me ask you, do you see a day where we're going to see some rules and regulations similar to what we have for handheld devices and our smartphones right now when it comes to the in-dash things in our car technology, when it comes to that distracted driving?
So what your car already comes made with is a national responsibility, a federal government responsibility, and then, sort of some of the rules around them happen at the provincial level. But here's what I say, the more and more people
it's complex
sort of continue to engage with these distractions, and the more we see the collisions on our roads or the injuries on our roads, they leave government no choice but to start putting in other measures, other regulations, and other restrictions. So it's really up to every individual.
Is that why they're allowed to charge me with drunk driving the day after I got home and cracked a beer? Does that make sense?
My pleasure.
Teresa DeFelice is with the CAA, and we're back with the news updates at the top of the hour next. Stay with us.
Were you fired for
What's your phone number?
You need employmentlawyer.ca. Most for-cause terminations are false, and you are still owed severance. Call the
for cause. So let's see what I've done here. This is fucking ridiculous. I can't believe I gotta make this phone call. I cannot believe I gotta make this phone call. Some of that there. Moderate. So, do not ever disable your traction control or your ABS. No, I could have said your emissions control systems too, but that's not a safety issue, generally speaking. You know those people who break stuff and say it works better broken? Oh, we just break those up. It's one of these people I know from my past. I don't know them because I want to know them. So this backflow damper thing I got shoved in the window, so the wind only comes in and not out, so I'm not sucking in everybody's exhaust here. This guy literally said, oh yeah, whenever we install a bathroom fan, we rip out that piece because you don't need it. It works better when it's broken. Really? You break it off on purpose. So you spend time that you're being paid breaking something brand new. This is what people tell me. Yeah, look around your house. This is why the Toronto housing market is a joke. I wouldn't buy any of it because it's all driven by borrowed money, being able to borrow more at a lower rate than the other guy. And looking at overly optimistic predictions of what the bubble will continue rising to and all that other shit. And you're buying like matchsticks and fucking paper mache. It's not cool.
Thank you for calling the 680 News listener line. To comment on 680 News or on a story and are comfortable having your comments used on air, please press 1. Leave a comment for the news director that you don't want to be used on air, please press 2. Please leave your comment that may be used on air now.
Hello, you guys are passing on some pretty sketchy advice. The one thing you should never do on a vehicle with traction control is disable the traction control, ever. So there's a saying, 4-wheel drive gets you stuck faster. If you're relying on the fact you have a more expensive car, a better 4-wheel drive system to get you out of these situations, it won't. It'll just get you stuck faster if you don't drive properly. If you disable the traction control, you will lose traction. The vehicle that you're used to being able to stick to the road won't anymore. It assumes you know what you're doing. And if you're turning off the traction control in the middle of a storm like this with a foot and change of snow, that's exceptionally dangerous. It's exceptionally dangerous. At the very least, you should be reminding people that as soon as they get the vehicle moved from where it is, they have to turn the traction control back on, or they will spin out within the next few meters. If they can't move the vehicle with the traction control on, then turning it off will let them move the vehicle, but they won't be able to control how it's moving, what direction it's moving in. Okay, and I'm sure you've heard that you know, turn off the ABS because it works better, or rip out the emissions control because it works better. It doesn't. Okay, if you ask a driving expert, a race car driver, anything that's actually a driving expert or a vehicle expert, they would tell you this. I don't know who this guy is saying these things, but it's not true. Turning off the traction control is what destroys supercars. You can do a quick internet search right now and see hundreds of videos of supercars getting destroyed. The instant you turn off the traction control, the car spins out. And that's on a hot, sunny day on brand new tarmac.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Oh, shit. I wanted to hear the top of the hour.
Winter storm warning.
Let's hear
Just this afternoon, Toronto Police Chief James Raymer said that the city's facing a serious weather event. Toronto Police and other first responders are doing their best to keep our city safe, but he says you can help by staying off the roads.
It's a different Uncle Tom. A different Uncle Tom. So he's not the same as the other Uncle Tom. It's a different Nazi. It's a different apartheidist.
Across the city are also out of service due to the snowfall. Toronto Police were forced to close the Gardner and DVP due to the amount of
how about lanes down here? We got 2 buses turned around the wrong way.
Now, much of the Gardner has reopened. The eastbound lanes are fully open, while
I don't want traffic, motherfucker. Tell me what's collapsing.
Police said that the closure would allow for vehicles that got stuck to be moved and allow plows to clear the highways. Officials have urged people to stay off.
It stops more people from driving onto the road that's already clogged.
There were reports of drivers who got stuck as the historic storm hit the region. Parts of Highway 401 were also at a standstill. But some close to the Alan Carter show say they've noticed some differences between municipalities.
The Mississauga side has been plowed more often and more effectively. The Toronto side, it's a nightmare. That's all I can say. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, because Toronto subsidizes Mississauga. Mississauga don't subsidize Toronto. Mississauga drivers drive on Toronto roads. Toronto drivers statistically don't.
Said that the Premier was out all morning helping people, either giving them a lift or helping them get their car out of side roads. Video posted on TikTok showed the Premier giving a person a lift.
I don't want you doing that. I want you to use a percentage of the money you're stealing from our trust accounts to put hydronic, whatever, heating in the roads. And stop plowing to the gutter, plow to the center.
And explains what the road conditions are like.
My vehicle and the vehicle of my cameraman, Robbie Ford, we were one of the victims this morning. Robbie Ford's car got stuck in a ditch this morning. It's still there this hour because it was just too difficult to get out. There was just way too much snow. My car also got stuck.
You hear the voice in the background saying Doug Ford? I'm pretty sure that was Doug saying that.
Who helped dig us out, push my vehicle out, and then
it's because they're brothers in the same job.
With the help of 3 other good Samaritans. So that's really the silver lining of this big winter storm, the kindness of so many strangers.
Now in 1999,
really right now, finding the silver lining, because it's been a frustrating day on the roads, especially on the highways.
Frustrating. Did she say for us or for us?
Really snarled traffic left many cars stranded there for hours, especially.
By the way, these will fucking kill you.
Health Canada has given the go-ahead to Pfizer's COVID-19 pill, and the company says it's already shipped some to Canada for use. Paxlovid is the first oral medication approved for COVID-19 that can be taken by patients at home within 5 days of infection.
Paxlovid is a combo of 2 different drugs that need to be taken.
And if you don't, you'll be sick longer, so why would it have to be within 5 days?
It's only been authorized for use in adults at this point. Dr. Trippz attempts as a treatment is recommended for patients who have already tested positive for COVID-19 and are at a high risk of becoming more seriously ill, like those who are immunocompromised and people who haven't had their shots.
Okay, so I was yelling earlier about
vaccinated at higher risk
of getting severe outcomes and getting hospitalized and ending up in the ICU. So this is the evidence, and we're following that evidence.
Clinical trials show the pill.
We've shown that people that can't be immunized make up the group of people that aren't immunized that are getting sick. We keep yelling at them about it, but we can't figure out why they don't produce an immune system response like we're ordering them to.
So far, Sandy Salerno, Global
Because you're assuming authority you don't have.
Listen live on the Radio Player Canada app or at 640toronto.com. The forecast from the Global News Weather Center, still under a winter storm warning, still plenty of snow and blowing snow to come, a high of -4 with a wind chill of -13.
Plenty of snow and blowing snow.
Toronto. I'm Danny Longo. This is Global News Toronto.
Quick Check showed me which Capital One cards I could get approved for with 100% certainty.
Things are starting to break up. We're going to see the steadier snow taper more and more as we move through the afternoon.
January of 1999, I was Canes and Anno Domino, Anno Canes, whatever. I was, what is it? No, coaching it. No, one's a kitchen, one's Canes and Anna, whatever the fuck. So anyway, during that storm, so me and my friends went out to, me and people that were in a open custody facility at the same time. Went out shoveling snow and trying to get cars moving because they were getting stuck on the roads everywhere because there's so much snow everywhere. And there was also was that not the same? That was a 98 or 99. And then we had the ice storm in Quebec that fucked things up. So that is the problem with this decentralized distributed power production is you got wires everywhere. At least with these nuclear plants, you just got one main set of wires. It's like the rail lines. That's why they're like adamant about cutting down every piece of greenery that grows near the tracks. And people don't listen. People don't listen. I tell them upshift, push your foot lightly on the brake pedal, upshift something. Slamming on the gas and fucking the car is going sideways. It don't matter which way they're turning the wheel. The car is going sideways because it's the front wheel drive. Typically, people don't listen. So I gave up back then, helping people push their cars out. Literally, that's when I stopped because they're not stuck for any particularly good reason. Okay, 2009, I think 2013, whatever the fuck it is, 2013. I'm watching family members hop out of a car, perfectly functioning Durango. And it had every type of like four-wheel drive traction control system it could possibly have for the time. You done? So I've seen this truck like. Are you done? You're just going to keep pinging the router because you're the most incredible child pornographic fucking hacker in the world, right? You're the pro child pornography hacker, right? Then why are you attacking us? Are you fucking retarded? Put it to you this way. Even if you thought you might as well attack us, the problem is most of the idiots attacking us are sex offenders. And if our internet does get watched, and people spy on everybody these days, your IP address will come up as one of the people attacking us, so you must be on the side of the child pornographers. That's how this fucking plays out in the end. Can I get back to my stupid story? So this Dodge Durango, I've seen it walk down an icy hill, like a hill that goes like this, and then to the left, and then 45 degrees, easily, maybe more. Like 50 or 40, 50, 40 from vertical, 50 from horizontal. I feel like Sherlock Holmes. By the time you get it burning right, it's done, and you got to throw it. You got to tap it out and go inside back to work. So I see my family members jumping out of a perfectly good Dodge Durango. I think it was it 5.2 they came with, and pushing A yellow friggin' Mustang, no tinted windows, not a special Mustang, not no GT or Cobra or nothing. And it's running the skinniest, cheapest fucking summer tires. I think one of them was a spare tire or something. It was like missing a wheel cover or some shit. Or it was a plain black rim instead of the other ones. Why are you helping this guy get up into the alleyway? He shouldn't have left. Oh, what's he doing driving? He can't be more than 100 feet from his house. He's trying to get into the alleyway. Go around him and keep going. No, see, I won't help them because they keep doing this shit. You're driving a Mustang. Why are you driving in the middle of a snowstorm on summer tires? You really had to get there that bad? You should be walking.
680. The snow kept falling, the wind kept drifting snow, and I've got snow drift here, 2-3 feet deep.
I would estimate there's a 1 in 10 pitch as the snow is coming this way.
They just get hung up on their undercarriage.
Rank this for us if you could, Kerry. I mean, you've seen just about everything throughout your years there with the OPP and working up and down the highways, the 401, 403, QEW, you name it. What's today been like? Where does it rank for you in your career?
We had, it's one of the worst days here. Like, we've seen snowstorms in the past. This is really the first snowstorm we've had on a Monday, kind of a weekday commute. The other snowstorms we've had have kind of been weekend blasts. I know out towards London,
you hear the thinking.
We've got some issues there, not as bad as
keep this burning
east down through Hamilton, QW 403, the link. We got some problems there as well. But
Lincoln Alexander.
It comes down to,
let's call it the link. Shorten it to link, like a link in a chain.
Staying off the highways.
That won't bother black people.
I've been talking to these drivers, and they've been sitting here for up to 6-7 hours. Since 7 a.m., some vehicles have been stuck in the snow. And you don't think about having an emergency kit when you're driving on the 401, only maybe when you're going up north to go ice fishing or someplace remote. But here, these guys, drivers don't have.
How long have you been doing this?
They don't have granola bars. They don't have a shovel or a pair of boots. And now they're wishing they would have planned and got that emergency kit before they headed out this morning.
Yeah,
so they've been giving us boxes of these.
And thanks as always for the great work.
Nature's Heart immune boost.
Thanks so much.
Granola bars.
Kerry Schmidt, you as well. By the way, the latest we're hearing for those of you listening in the Toronto area, Gardner is reopened. I think eastbound, particularly all the lanes are said to be once again reopened there. But Toronto police is shutting down both the DVP and the Gardner earlier today, pretty much unprecedented, just so they, as Kerry was talking about, could get the plows out onto those major thoroughfares and get them cleared of the snow as best they can. Okay, for the latest on this storm, let's bring in Global's chief meteorologist, Anthony Furnell, joins us now. And Anthony, what is the latest when it comes to this storm? Have we seen the worst?
So we've definitely seen the worst. We within the next hour or so,
how do you know?
Have the snow faucet finally shut off. So another trace to a centimeter. That's about it as far as going forward. The winds are still a factor, and you heard Kerry Smith talking about these drifts on the highways where plows have not been able to attend, and even where plows have come by. If you're near an open field or some stretches of highway that are dealing with wind-blown activity, you have black ice under it, and then you have these large drifts.
You want the snow.
That's fallen, and now it's still moving around.
And big balloon tires at this point. The asphalt of the road doesn't help you.
It's going to move when these winds gust to 40, 50 kilometers per hour.
I was mentioning off the top of the show this afternoon your tweet saying that this storm...
We had 119 kilometer an hour gust downtown Toronto. What was that, a year ago?
We're hearing reports we could get in some areas, Anthony, as much as now 60 centimeters.
Yeah, and again, this is wrapping up as we speak. It comes down to how
that's twice as much as 30, isn't it?
Official measurements, they clear slate every couple of hours, so it prevents it from compacting. Others just use the liquid equivalent of the snow. So there are different ways to measure it. But yeah, this is a massive storm, and around Toronto, I'm seeing 40.
The liquid equivalent
generally.
Of the snow. That'd be helpful if we were using heated roads and driveways and shit.
As you go east, Whitby, 50 to some areas around there, 55, 60 centimeters. So that is, I guess, the big winner, if you would call it that. as far as this storm, and these snowbanks are just incredible. Hard to believe, Jeff, that yesterday evening there wasn't a trace of snow in the city, and now it just looks like it's been winter for a while.
Yeah, it's a night and day situation. You're absolutely right. I was driving back in around 9 o'clock last night. Just bare roads
to get in for the morning shift.
Happened overnight. Why have we seen so much snow in such a short period of time, Anthony? What's driving all this?
Well,
we think it's clouds. We think it's precipitation.
For the GTHA to just get underneath what we call a deformation band. So it's generally, if you look on satellite, there's a comma shape to these mature storms, these cyclones, and right where we were, there was a perfect combination of cold air, not just at the surface, but all the way up to the atmosphere, and it created excellent conditions for snowflake growth. So when you look at these big snowflakes that are falling right now, they accumulate quickly. They trap air pockets. So we ended up getting way more snow than even I was forecasting. And yesterday I was on the high end thinking 30 to 35, and it looks like we superseded that. And yeah, there's no end as far as it melting anytime soon, even with a brief warm-up coming on Wednesday.
You know, we've heard the terms snowmageddon before. Storm of the century gets tossed around a lot as well. The last, 12, 16 hours throughout southern Ontario. How does this storm rank, do you think, Anthony? Is this kind of a once-in-a-lifetime or once-in-a-decade thing?
For sure, once in a decade, and we've been fortunate. We've avoided these big storms that have maybe hit our neighbors to the south, or Vancouver, or Halifax, but we've just been in this snow.
This is no different than Hurricane Sandy.
Now, of course, it's
except
all coming at
it's
once,
cold instead of hot.
What made this storm incredible. And I do think it'll be at least the top 5 as far as big snow events in one day. There are multi-day storms in Toronto. We've had that. The blizzard back in 1999 is one that...
Dude, we've had them since then.
This reminds
This
me
is denial. This is Toronto denial.
One thumping, and at the heart of it, just before the morning commute, there was anywhere from 5 to 15 centimeters of snow falling every hour, and it's no wonder that snowplows are not able to keep up with that type of snow.
You know,
so they brought out graders.
Here's how I know, because Anthony Fernell, who's been in the midst of a weather systems, has seen everything and seen it twice when it comes to a weather. I can hear it in your voice, Anthony, as you're describing this. So you're almost shaking your head.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head. I'm also on my way up to Global right now, and I'm just seeing bus after bus. I don't know what happened this year with the Toronto TTC buses, but they obviously don't have winter tires. They are...
That's not the problem.
Of the snowbank.
No, that's not the problem.
Entire city, there must be dozens of these buses that are abandoned. The drivers aren't even there anymore. They have their four-ways on, but that's going to be in itself a big.
Don't touch them buses. That's within our purview. It is.
They're just stranded.
Yeah,
the public transit vehicles.
This morning as well, I passed 3 different
Canada
buses,
Post, ambulances, fire trucks, the public transit vehicles.
You don't really have to turn that on.
And that sort of includes taxis.
Anthony,
you don't have to watch every taxi, but if it's a wheel trans making a drop off, keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and just for your listeners, Jeff, just wait a few more hours. Let those plows do their work, because we'll get the city back going, but it's going to take some time.
You bet. There's Global's chief meteorologist, Anthony Fernell, with us, and we're back after a break. Here on the Jeff MacArthur Show. Stay with us.
Let's head out to the roads and check on the drive. With chopper traffic, here's what...
This bus, I guess maybe I don't need that on there. So, you may have noticed, I don't have a working lighter or matches. Oh, actually, I should try this lighter just once. It might light once. So, as I look out my window, if I point, if something's to the east, I point. If something's to the west, I point. Like this, I'm literally pointing in relation to where I am, where the fuck that shit is. It's kind of like normally when I touch, so I'm getting used to having 2 watches on at the same time, because and the problem is with this one, when you're half awake, this date window is at the 4 o'clock position, not the 3 o'clock. Okay, so normally I go by universal time. This is set to Eastern Daylight, Eastern Standard Time, which is -5 hours. Eastern Daylight is -4. So in my mind, I have to remind myself it's local time, because normally I look at it and I automatically convert to the local time as needed. I've been doing that for a long time, 15, 20 years, I don't know. And I basically thought of it as internet time, is how I think of it. But this one here, if it says 3 o'clock, if I look at it and it says 3 o'clock, I got to figure out, is it 11 a.m. or 10 a.m.? And then I have to double check. Is it 3 o'clock or is it 4 o'clock? No, it's set to local time. But the beautiful thing about this one, I can time between joints how long, if I can get more than an hour between medications and between doses, because it's 12 hours. And if I when I go to sleep, I can start it, and when I wake up, I know how many hours I slept, as opposed to trying to do the math in my head, which I can usually do just fine. The problem is if I sleep more times than it's been day or night cycles. So let's say over a 3 or 4 day long weekend, because we have those. What if I sleep a couple hours in the morning, couple hours at night? I got to figure out if I slept too much or not, because with sickle cell, if you with the anemia and with the sickling issue, you can basically experience rigor mortis where the blood pools, and that's not good, obviously. Oh, here, I'll use this stick like a screen. Hold on. Don't complain about sticks. Sticks make screens. And they don't weigh fuck all. If you weigh the sticks, generally speaking, they're the driest part of the plant. So we do have a video where I killed 6 flies in about an hour with my hand. I don't know why they're harassing me. When they smell my weed, they come over here. I'm not even joking. Not the smoke. They smell the plant material, and being fruit flies, they know plant. They're like, hey, what's that? That smells interesting. And even if all the honeybees die off, all the other flying insects are also pollinators to a certain degree. Anything that manually smacks into anything that mechanically or physically interacts with the flower or the plant can help pollinate. Even if it's, I don't know, a dog running into a fence and bouncing off of it and running off again, as dogs will do. But dogs have this crazy wiring that makes them really good for the environment. Why do they piss on trees? If you look at how a tree is built, its roots spread out basically as wide as the canopy of the tree. And what this means is the rain won't hit the ground under the branches as much as it'll hit everything around it, right? So it's not necessarily the best way to look where the dog goes, right up to the trunk, pisses on it. The tree don't care if it's piss. Why would the tree care? The tree breathes carbon dioxide. Think about that. What we breathe, if I go to you, the tree has the exact opposite reaction. All these flies and things also make food for spiders. Spiders interact with plants a lot too. VIP latrines, ventilated improved pit latrines. They say that the vent pipe, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and then they put a vent pipe from the underneath part of the latrine, the outhouse, all the way up through the roof to vent outside. And they say the chimney effect, which I don't know what that is. I think they mean the stack effect. Regardless, we'll pull air out of that vent. I'm talking bullshit about latrines for a minute while I get my fucking smoke ready. And then I'm going to try to hear. We're not going to get any proper news. It's going to be snow. It snowed. It snowed. What's happening in Canada today? Everything's closed for snow. There's a crashed bus up front of my house. It looks like it tried to hip check the bus shelter, but it's going the wrong way. That's the part. I'm going to put the news back on, but the ventilated improved pit latrines. One of the things that I've read in the instructions for those, damn it, is that spider webs and things might clog up the vent pipe. I don't believe that, because I watch my spiders. I call them my spiders because I brought them to this apartment from my last apartment in coffee tins. Only 1 per tin. Only 1 per tin. Okay, because if you put 2 in there, I tried it. One eats the other. You end up with 1 per tin. So, and I stick the tins into a wine case. You can fit 24 of the little ones in there, and that's how I brought all my spiders here. So the camera can't, but I can see remnants of webs. Long story short is spiders tend to clean up their webs themselves, because if the web gets all beat up and covered in dust, the flying insects can see it and they'll just go around it, which could be helpful to that. I think that's why they leave them up for a little while they build new ones. But isn't that beautiful? Look at it glisten. But from what I've seen, every so often they break off the webs and they fall down, and they shouldn't clog up the vent pipe on the ventilated improved pit latrine. And why do I care about this? Oh, cholera in Canada? Let me tell you something. The temperature keeps going like +2, -4, +3, -5. You know what happens at that temperature, right? -4, the water doesn't just freeze solid. It at -4. So if you're going downwards in temperature at -4, the molecules rearrange into a crystalline pattern. This pattern happens to be very strong, and it takes up more space, so it expands. Even though it should contract, it expands as it gets colder below -4. And all our fucking water mains and sewer pipes, yep, and they're real close to the surface all over the place down here. It's not always possible to put them more than below the frost line. We've got all these grade level separations, meaning a railroad trestle with a road that goes under it. Well, all the sewer pipes have to go under and back up too. Or there's maybe the first ones go down and there's a second set. That's not the point. I've seen them burst. So if a sanitary pipe bursts in the middle of a road under a railroad trestle, I swear, the next street over, I've seen this, there will be sewage water, or at least that's what it looks like. Yeah, it's theoretically possible for clean water to rinse dirt from under the road and look brown and not be sewage, but I'm pretty certain this was sewage. Will run across the road and into the storm drain, where it will build up until there's enough to flow out of the storm drain into the mixed overflow sewers. And if there was theoretically enough water pouring in that drain, it would dump back into the sanitary system. That's how convoluted Toronto is. As above, so below. Even trying to explain something as simple as the drains here. Okay, I got that part. If all these pipes fucking okay, so I give you another. So what's going to happen when the road is frozen? You're going to have frozen sewage. You don't want to slip on frozen sewage because you land on it, and the friction and heat from your hand will melt it into. So everybody, for some reason, plows snow to the side of a road. If you have ditches, that makes sense. If you have storm drains, that does not make sense because you're mechanically blocking the storm drain. Yeah, a snowdrift tends to be about 2 feet wide or more, and the storm drains are about 2 feet across or less, right in the fucking gutters. So if you ever see how we have doubled up sets of storm drains sticking out further into the road, I do believe that's why. Because these bridges have been here about 75 years on average, I think. And they intend for them to last another 75 years. They need the trains to run through this city, even if all the inhabitants here were dead. They need certain facilities, in particular in this neighborhood, to keep running no matter what. Okay, so fucking, if this fuel plant fucking goes out of service, everybody has problems. Everybody. You may not like it, but yes, even you can't get your radiology test results done. Yeah, you don't have electricity to do laundry. Your water treatment plant got shut down because there's no electricity. Yeah, so we're on a gigantic hill. The beautiful part about this is everything drains down into the lake. We got about a minute and a half left till the bottom of the hour thing. Hurricane Sandy, what was that, October 2013, I believe? No, we didn't get the hurricane per se. We did get a whole lot of that weather pattern. And the interesting thing is the wind is predominantly out of the west here. It's almost always coming out of the west. Sometimes southwest, sometimes northwest. So sometimes we smell the Arctic at -40 degrees. And sometimes we can smell manure from, what is it, about 800 miles across of the Midwest that has cows. My clock is frozen, isn't it? We had 100-kilometer-an-hour winds out of the east. The rain, the precipitation, so there's water that evaporates and then condenses, but there's also, you can mechanically stir up water, and it will smell like the salt because it's droplets in the air that are airborne, but it will smell like the salt. It smelled like salt. there was so much precipitation, rain, and that's not unusual for Octobers here, but I put this. There were a number of houses that flooded, backflowed with sewage right up to grade level. Picture your whole basement. So let's say it's 8 feet deep, whatever it is. Oh, you wish your basement was 8 feet deep. Backed up with sanitary sewage. And if you travel north of it to the north of this city, basically for the next 200 kilometers is other cities. A lot of this sewage flows downhill. I don't know exactly how everything's connected, but shit rolls downhill. We got a few seconds left. One house on one block will stink up the whole neighborhood if it's filled with sewage. Cholera, that's what I was talking about.
Serene setting with
680 everywhere.
All they're going to talk about is snow.
This is Monday, January 17th. For Slajana Tomincic, I'm Charlene Close.
And I'm James Monroe. Here's what's making news right now.
Apparently, I get one of these every year. We have 3 different apps. One for the plows, one for the snow, one for the salt. I'm not joking.
On the cleanup and cancellations in the extreme weather center.
If you haven't left your home yet today,
Don't.
Police say there's already been numerous reports of collisions and vehicles getting stuck on the road, including...
There's 2 TTC buses smashed up right now in front of my house.
What does tomorrow hold? How this winter...
Now, if I was required to appear in court in person tomorrow, if I said the buses aren't even running, it'd still be my fault if I didn't show up.
We ask him if he thinks any military help is warranted and about
Yes, but it's not going to come. You're on your fucking own. If you thought I was an extremist or paranoid, it doesn't matter because I was right. You're on your fucking own.
Pfizer's new antiviral treatment for COVID-19
gets
approval from Health Canada, and Netflix announces rates are going up just ahead of an earnings report.
You got to put a comma in there. Approval from Health Canada and Netflix.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Carrie Ponskis. This report is brought to you by the Salvation Army. Well, no shortage of things to talk about on the eastbound
Salud,
401.
thank you. Hey, they're out there attempting to do something.
A lot of action eastbound on the 401.
You have to remember the whole world's made up of individuals.
Collector lanes are blocked because of the poor weather and a number of tractor trailers that have just gotten stuck in the snow. So eastbound 401 is jammed from Winston Churchill to approaching Mavis. And again, no traffic getting through in either the express or collectors. Then eastbound 401 from Weston to Kiel, express and collectors blocked through that stretch, the same reason. And as well, eastbound 401 as you approach the DVP, express lanes are blocked, collector lanes are open, but it's reduced to a single lane, and it is a slow go getting through that single lane right now on the eastbound 401. Again, that's approaching the DVP, just the collector lanes are available. Southbound 400, no access to the east or westbound 401. Those ramps are blocked off. Southbound 404, the collector ramps to the east and westbound 401.
Closures.
Area residents who manage diabetes with insulin. The Freestyle Libre 2 flash glucose monitoring system is indicated for measuring interstitial fluid glucose levels in people aged 40 years and older. Always read and follow the label.
Vashon Insurance Group presents Did You Know?
Vashon has an RV.
There are such a thing as what you might as well call a hypo spray, because that's what they called it on Star Trek. If I remember correctly, it uses carbon dioxide, but it could use any pressurized gas. Out of Japan, I think it was 94 or 95, the 1990s. I seen this shit. Reusable, and it doesn't puncture the skin, and you still have people poking there. What do we do with all this medical waste? Okay, but what do we do with it in the time of a crunch? Okay, because even the turnaround time, you use this term sequestering and stuff, all the stainless steel and titanium and all that shit, you could reclaim it, but where's it all now? It's in needles and shit that it didn't have to be, and people are puncturing their skin. This introduces the risk of getting an infection.
Obvious, but where to find them? Drug-Free Kids Canada.
They got the most entertaining email list.
Snowmageddon, Snowtropolis, Snowtastrophe. Pick one. The snow is still falling.
Metropolis is Toronto.
The City News Extreme Weather Center is wide open. It's lit. City's Moment Koreshi is at the controls. Joins us live. Moment.
It's lit.
Oh, James, this Extreme Weather Center update is brought to you by Subaru. Welcome to uncommon winter capability. Yeah, use whatever adjective you want. It is quite a day, and a day we haven't seen in this city in the GTA for a long time, maybe if ever. It is certainly a record-setting day with more than 35 centimeters of snow on the ground in the city of Toronto and downtown. That was as of 1 o'clock, likely a lot more at this point.
So how far off was I when I said between 1 and 3 feet? It's more than a foot.
The upside, things are starting to slow down.
40 to 60 centimeters of snow by the time everything is all said and done. But those rapidly accumulating snowfall rates of 6 to 10 centimeters an hour, that has eased. Things are starting to break up. We're going to see the steadier snow taper more and more as we move through the afternoon. Light snow, then some flurries, still blowing and drifting around as the winds will continue to be quite strong even into the evening hours.
So we know how hard hit the morning commute was. Now we're turning our focus towards the afternoon.
No, I want to know about this anti-retro, whatever drug.
Wild north today. Stuart Green with the TTC says they were hit hard this morning in terms of those above-ground tracks like the SRT, which have to be shut down, and above-ground tracks on line 1 and line 2.
You've got 600 volts or whatever right there.
They're not sure if they will yet.
Well, so that's
why wouldn't you heat that electrically?
We're making progress in terms of the open cut on the subway. But again, TTC notices will have the best up-to-date information.
It'll drain away water. It'll drain away snow if you melt it. Why would that not be heated electrically?
Transit, streetcar, or bus. I think you can expect a longer than normal commute home.
And as you can imagine, the city is.
Remember Toronto's snow melters? After those snowstorms, the next year they got snow melters that didn't fucking work. It's a truck that melts the snow, and then what?
They are going to try to get it all done, but it will take time. Potentially not having all the side streets and alleyways clean until Wednesday morning. Reporting live, Moment Correction.
And then it would be +4 or some shit. Oh, melt.
Absolutely horrific, as you've been hearing in our traffic reports. Many drivers have been stuck for hours in their cars on parts of the 401. City's Michelle Morton joins us with the latest.
If you're out on the roads, you can probably relate to these traffic spotters.
I've been stopped here for about 45 minutes. There's no moving.
I am here at 427 in Falcon. We're pretty much been plowed in. We're behind snowbanks. Been here for a few hours.
Here's OPP Sergeant Kerry Schmidt.
The biggest problem right now is the plows are stuck in this as well. They can't clear the highways. You're not going anywhere. You should have stayed home. If you are blocking everybody behind you and you're spinning your wheels slowly, turn off your traction control. That may very well help you get those tires spinning and get you moving.
Meanwhile,
that doesn't even make sense. More slip means less traction.
With around 500 calls an hour. It says with the weekend's cold snap and today's snowfall, wait times are also increasing.
You're supposed to tap on the brake.
And the focus right now is to respond to high priority calls first, including those stranded on roads and highways or safety related calls. Michelle Morton, City News.
City News time 2:37. Keep your eyes peeled for Doug Ford. He's out and about driving around helping drivers dig out from the snow. City's Richard Southern's talking with the Premier.
Despite warning Ontarians not to go out if they don't have to, Premier Ford himself was out driving around today helping stranded motorists.
We're just doing what everyone else is doing. It's helping out. I'm unfortunate enough, I got the Ford 150 4x4, so I got a tether in the back.
Premier, it was just over 23 years ago that the late Mel Lastman.
Those are made in Flint, I believe. Michigan?
Do we need any help
Pontiac,
like that today?
Is it Flint?
Well, I don't know. I think we can handle it ourselves.
Premier, in other news, the federal government has approved a new Pfizer antiviral pill, and I understand Ontario is getting 10,000 doses.
I wish we could get a lot more, but it's a game changer. It will keep 90% of the people.
I'm not interested in vaccines. I'm interested in antivirals because I got a fucking virus.
The Premier also tells me news on whether or not restrictions may be eased next week could be on the way soon. Richard Southern City.
Now, Pfizer's antiviral COVID pill has been approved by Health Canada. Here's our Parliament Hill reporter, Cormac McSweety.
This is the first approved COVID antiviral pill and the first COVID treatment that can be taken at home. Our health regulator has given the green light for its use in adults. And Dr. Supriya Sharma with Health Canada says clinical trials show the drug is very effective.
It depends what the treatment is. There's no specific treatment for COVID.
Developing more severe symptoms.
Reduce the risk of hospitalization and death caused by COVID-19 by 89% when the medications were started within 3 days of the beginning of symptoms, and by 85% 95% when started within 5 days.
The pill is prescription only, and patients need a positive PCR or rapid test to get it. Federal officials asked provinces to.
And coincidentally, all that's going to take you 3 days.
The first delivery of more than 30,000 courses of the treatment arrived this weekend, and Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos says
if somebody splashes blood in your face and you show up at the emergency room, they give you 17 days of antivirals on the spot.
A longer-term delivery schedule.
The feds pre-purchased 1 million courses of the drug with the option for 500,000 more. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Coming up in 30 seconds, we will check the price of gas.
Ooh, let's hear this one. I want to hear the price of natural gas. We should look all that up right now. Shit.
This is City News 680.
Everywhere.
Everybody's looking for a change right now, dreaming of being able to pay for upgrades or renovations without taking on that financial
I don't like to dream about getting paid.
3 years ago, but it still feels like there's a million things I'd like to do today. A FlexiLine by Capital Direct allows you to manage your resources more effectively.
Voilà, c'est paru chez Gradiva en octobre 2021. Alors là, on est dans un roman policier, une histoire de cadavre d'un éthologue qui apparaît dans un réservoir à l'océanarium. Un policier va essayer de chercher de qui il s'agit et assez intéressant, ça a l'air plutôt bien, ça implique de comprendre l'œuvre secrète de la victime et par exemple, il va falloir déchiffrer un mystérieux tableau de Jérôme Bosch. Au bout du chemin se trouve la
And help.
You know, you think, oh, I just want to stay cozy and cuddly and warm if I can, wherever I can. And, you know, think about that pet that you might have at home and one that might need a home. And great way to also think about, you know, our pet.
False narrative. The first thing that happened when this lockdown started a year and change ago, 2 years ago, whatever, was that you guys adopted every animal out of city animal services you could, to the point where there was one bird, one animal, a bird, a budgie. I wanted to adopt it and call it Dog. This is all bullshit today. All we're going to hear about is snow. Why are we mechanically moving this? Okay, why? I have some questions. Why do you people push the snow into the road? And why does the plow push it to the side of the road? I'm confused. You should be pushing it to the center. You should be building a berm in the center. As it melts, it'll run down the crown into the fucking drain. No, you're mechanically blocking the drain with snow and ice, and you try to melt. You keep using salt as though it melts snow. That's not what's happening. Coffee grinds melt snow. Alaska ice melter, I think, I could be wrong. I think there's an exothermic reaction, endothermic reaction, and maybe I'm wrong. Salt lowers the melting temperature and the freezing temperature. Yeah, well, it lowers the boiling point and the freezing point. The melting temperature. I guess it all depends what direction you're going in. And you have to clear the snow before you put the salt on, or guess what? You get melted snow, turns into what? Water, which turns into what? Ice. Yeah. And at -10, it stops working. No matter how much salt you put on, it doesn't work below -10. Okay? It destroys everything. It destroys all the concrete. It destroys your boots, your jeans, just everything. It destroys everything. It rusts all your vehicles. You should at least be minimizing your use of it. And you don't. You use more. And I watch you people. You put on a show of how, look, I'm shoveling it all into the. It's so dumb. I'm going to push it in the road. And look, the plow is going to push it back. Yeah, we know. Why are you showing off how hard you're working? I give you two examples. When I try to help at like these churches and things, I have to stop because there's people purposely making busy work. Okay, there's a dolly that the chairs stack up on. Put a chair on the dolly, put a chair on the chair, put a chair on the chair. Right? There are idiots walking around stacking up all the chairs, and then we have to stack them one at a time onto the dolly. Right? You're stacking them up, and then I'm stacking them up a second time. You fucking asshole. There's Labor Ready is a temporary agency, and in this city, it's any type of fucking labor job. It's useless to be good at your job because everybody around you will do everything possible to get you fired. So since the law here, they got to pay you minimum 4 hours if you show up. They have it all arranged that the client will have to have you for 4 hours or whatever, and then after that, it's optional when they can send you home. So we have a gigantic stack of the ceiling, the suspended ceiling panels, and there's one facing up, one facing down, one facing up, one facing down. Okay, and there's another pile. We have to move them from one place to another. This idiot keeps taking them. He's taking the two, putting one down, putting the other one on top, and then putting it on the pile. Or he's taking one at a time and flipping them over. Dude, set the first one aside and move them two at a time over and over onto the pile. No, he's got to do it the slowest fucking way possible. At the 4 hour mark, they tell me to go home and to keep him. Because he looked busy the whole time. Look how hard I'm making this job, boss. Look how hard I'm making this job. You shovel snow towards your house. Okay, you know why all your plants die in the winter? And I'm not talking about the annuals. All your evergreens and shit. The salt, for one thing, makes all the water run away, and it soaks up the water. And these plants don't like salt anyway. You shovel all the snow away from your house, right? Look at your lawn. Why can you see your lawn? It's exposed to the sun, the wind, and the dry air. It destroys the plant. Oh, it's wintertime. They go to sleep. They go to sleep. They go to sleep. Yeah, it's dead now. That's sleeping. No, it's not. You don't know what you're doing. You shovel all the snow onto your lawn, around your trees, and against your basement, against your foundation. And magically, you'll find all the hot spots in your foundation that are leaking heat, because that's where the snow will melt the fastest. And since all it can do is drain off at the same rate that it's melting at, it can't flood anything. It can't. No, it can't. Oh. Coffee grinds melt snow. I've been dealing with snow. I always end up with the jobs like you might call it chores, clearing up garbage and shoveling snow and shit. The thing that gets me is I get it done faster and more efficiently, so I end up with more work. And I'm constantly having new people introduced to the equation that are trying to show off how hard they're working and trying to impress me with how hard they're working when they're in my fucking way. So if you're going to say that it costs too much to melt the snow hydronically, heated roads, whatever, you don't heat the entire fucking roadway. Okay. In Moscow, when they did that, labor was cheap. Forced labor was cheap. And they're using geothermal, so all they have to do is pump the water down and it comes up steam. There's no other energy input. If you do the main intersections, yeah, it's deadly simple. If you do the main intersections, then that's where you push the snow to. It's very simple. Plow towards the center of the road instead of the outside. And every time that everything in the intersection melts, you can push more that way. In fact, it'll keep ending up there as long as you keep plowing. It'll all run off. It'll all run off on its own. The water, as you're heating it up from the bottom, means as it melts, it's going to settle. It's not melting from the top like salt or even the coffee grinds. But the coffee grinds will melt right through the snow. It's the same effect that soot, particulate matter, has on ice in the Arctic. So every fucking vehicle we send up to the Arctic spits out as much particulate matter as possible. Why? Because it's the Arctic. It doesn't matter. There's no rules. You're melting the fucking ice you're standing on. So the issue is, since the particles are black, they turn light to heat very easily. And no, they don't attract light. Nothing attracts light except for gravity. Actually, it just bends light. And the other thing with the Arctic is when we use nuclear energy, when we set off nuclear reactions, that's new heat within the Earth's system. If we're looking at it as a system of thermodynamics, everything organic that we burn or that we eat and creates heat, there's nothing to do with carbon, because everything here is made of carbon. 666. That's the molecular number or whatever. When you introduce new heat to the system, That's what's raising the temperature. So anyway, they dump the nuclear reactor cores into the Arctic, they sink to the bottom where the coldest water is, heat it up. It floats up to the top. No, heat doesn't rise. Less dense water will float on top of more dense water. Where's the hot water go? It hits the bottom of the ice, melts it from underneath. It's a continuous flow. It's a continuous flow. And it's incredibly efficient because if you're trying to melt a big thick layer of snow or ice, the heat underneath can only be absorbed by as much as will melt. And then that cooler water is going to sink back down to those reactor cores. It doesn't matter if it's introducing a temperature differential of 1 degree. Okay, those reactors are all that nuclear shit stays hot a long fucking time. I don't mean radioactive. I mean putting out heat. You can feel heat coming off it. Like with your fingertips, you can feel it. It'll melt snow and shit. And this is may sound like an odd thing to say, but an iceberg has more heat energy than a match, even though a lit match has a higher temperature.
You mentioned, quote unquote, a traditional snow day. If it's a snow day, school class is canceled.
Yeah, so I live in Oakville, so in Halton they canceled all the schools, virtual and in person. So even if your children were in virtual school, that's still canceled. I mean, these are the kind of days where kids are just itching to get outside and have that.
They're itching to get outside, eh? So there's a construction site here, and there's a Bobcat operator clearing the road. The road happens to be private property, actually. It's not assumed by the city, but it looks like it's public. And these people are letting their kids go right up to the curb where there's a Bobcat coming back and forth, scooping up snow. No sense at all. Yeah, the guy can't see out the sides or the back, period. There's no mirrors, and there's cages and shit. And if he's got a mask on and a toque and every other goddamn thing, hoods and shit, he's like, you can't see shit. Get your kids away from the equipment. And stay away from the bodies of water because they're going to be flooding like crazy. If you successfully melt all this snow, all the storm drains are going to fill up, and they'll flow into the mixed overflow sewers, and we'll get shitloads of fucking water down the sanitary drains too, and everything gets overloaded and it's full of salt. They're not going to give us any more news. All I keep remembering is what these doctors kept saying for the first year of this. Ventilation is key. So our schools, 80% do not have mechanical ventilation. They're going to put HEPA filters in, but they won't give them oxygen. Filtering carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide doesn't help anything. The one good thing that'll happen is all these air filters will help keep mold propagation to a minimum. Because the spores basically be getting, oh, you didn't like that, did you? You bit me. Now your insides are on fire, aren't they? I'll find another source for music, I'm sure of it. There we go.
She don't come inside, though, that's just how I live. Just for a couple hundreds for
So, just to give another example, you think these things from somewhere else don't affect you. Quebec had an ice storm 24 years ago, whatever, and they have to have all the linesmen out repairing all the lines, right? Okay. You know, they send firefighters to other places when there's big fires, forest fires and shit. They do the same thing with hydro workers and shit, flood relief, all that type of shit. So when your power goes out here and the workers are in a different fucking province helping a different province, you guys pick some strange names. Don't click on any of that shit.
But we call us, shut them down. It's the remix. You're on the perfect track, GP Nice. Money in the game.
Late night cooking slow, late night cooking blow, late night cooking slow, late night cooking blow, late night cooking slow, late night cooking blow, late night in the six, in the mix with a brick of snow. Only for my real niggas get that money tax free. Daytime in the Benz, 4 a.m. in the taxi. Only for my real niggas get that money tax free. Daytime in the Benz, 4 a.m. in the taxi. Savage with my average, having cigarettes and money at an X5 automatic. Tech 9 automatic, stretch 9 on that magic havoc for that cheap price. Street nice, static, you can't sleep right. Street life is complicated, Oka keep me compensated. Most of y'all is common haters, shit stop, constipated my shit. Drop off, I made it back in from this rapid shit. Made a million traffic and running streets for them savages. Y'all exactly what happened.
Even in good financial times, you it's more later, then I might consider purchasing it. But I try not to make bigger purchases just on the fly. I really try to think about them before I make them. Sort of that mindful spending that I always talk about with everybody. It just makes you, if you decide not to buy it today, the likelihood of you buying it tomorrow is probably slim to none. And then you've saved all that money. But if you're really struggling to pay your bills, your day-to-day bills.
So when they say you'll never get rich saving, that's what she means right there. You saved it. Yeah, that is what saving is. I didn't spend it here. I can spend it somewhere else. It's not.
This is the year. This is the time of year, rather, that all of us try to sit down and kind of get better about everything, better about eating, better about our money, better about our relationships.
I thought this was it's the 17th of January. I thought this was the time everybody's already burned up their fucking resolutions.
Are one place where people spend a lot of money. So how many streaming services do you have? How many things do you have that arrive at your home without you even ordering it? Could you pare back on some of those and use that money to pay down debt? And really just cut out the extras for a while. January is a great month. I mean, we're in a pandemic. We've got restrictions. It's after the holidays. I couldn't think of.
Okay, so those are bad reasons. We're in a lockdown. Well, that's because everybody keeps fucking up, and that's not contingent on what time of year it is. I hear these idiots going on, it's going to spread in the wintertime. Yeah, South Africa, it's summertime, stupid. It's the same people that, South Africa's not a country, it's a region. Really, the Republic of South Africa, the South African Republic, whatever the fuck. Was it 16 official languages? I'm sure there's different ways to spell it and pronounce it that'll be recognized as official. I'm sure they understand what I mean. I'm not there's Southern Africa, which may or may not be all capitalized, I guess. And then there's it's a country, damn it. I swear these idiots on the phone say the weirdest things to me. I don't know how I got that same idiot 3 times with three different government phone numbers. Like I hit stupid, ding, 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 ding. Like, when they tell us they're recording those calls, it makes me think maybe they listen to them.
428-8300. Test pre-arrival negative test result on top of vaccination mandates in place. The letter signed by chief medical officers for the airlines and the airport refers to the stressed lab capacities and that resources could be better utilized in communities rather than automatically for travelers when the testing positivity rate for incoming travelers is relatively low. Frederick Dimanche is a professor at Ryerson University and director at Ted Rogers School of Hospitality and Tourism Management.
What this measure has done is preventing people from traveling. And when I say preventing it, it's just because of the hassle. Think about being an international traveler and being willing to come to Canada to visit friends, family, for pleasure, for business. And you are being told that not only will you have to take the PCR test before flying, but another one on arrival. And until you get the result of that test, you're going to have to be on quarantine, and there is no assurance that this could be done in 24 hours.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 202 points to 35,912, while the S&P 500 up slightly by just under 4 points to 4,663. NASDAQ higher by 0.2%, 87 points to 14,894. At the City News Business Center, I'm Ari Rubinovich.
But wait, Mr. Suicide Jones, tell us, how will the emergency vehicles get around when there's snow everywhere? Precisely. What the hell's going on here? I need a lighter or something. This is a summer song, really. Big car festival.
Near and far, you got to get blushing. You not star over with blood disgusting. Me a man Jack Warren, all this mother and superstar.
And weather. This is City News 680 everywhere. It's Monday, January 17th. I'm James Monroe.
I'm Charlene Close. Here's what's making news right now. The snow is beautiful to look at, but makes the roads ugly for drivers.
It is quite interesting to see the lines from the wind.
It's not a blizzard anymore, but the snow is still falling, and that's causing issues for crews trying to clean it and major cancellations. The City News 680 Extreme Weather Center is open.
The Premier is literally digging out stranded motorists.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just out there trying to help people.
Coming up, we talk to Ford and ask him if any military response is warranted.
Alex Kerfoot found a way to get to Leafs practice today.
Trying to make it out, didn't go too well, and then had to Uber here.
And without Kyle Lowry, the Heat host the Raptors. Sports at 15.
Commercial trucking is low on drivers due to vaccine requirements, and Pfizer's antiviral treatment gets approval from Health Canada. Business at 26.
City News Time, 3:01.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Don't look at the cameras, Carrie.
Oh, you know what? When I'm looking at the cameras, I'm wondering, is this a still shot? Nope, it's a live camera view. It's just that nobody's moving. This report brought to you by Queen's Smith MBA in Toronto. Eastbound on the 401, a lot to tell you about on this route. Approaching Mavis, express lanes are blocked. Collector lanes are reduced to a single lane. And now I can see all of this traffic that's getting through in that one lane in the collectors. They're getting off at Mavis. So essentially, eastbound 401 is blocked at Mavis, both express and collectors now, and it's heavily backed up from the 407. Then eastbound 401 from Weston to Kiel, express and collectors blocked there. This is all because of the weather and all of the drivers that have gotten stuck in the snow and can't get through. So the eastbound 401 is very heavy from the 427 to Weston, but again, it's at a standstill at that point. And then eastbound 401, the ramp to the Allen is closed because of a crash. The ramp to Yonge is blocked because of a stalled vehicle. And then approaching the DVP, we still have express lanes blocked because of the weather and collectors down to a single lane on the eastbound 401. Again, this is approaching the DVP. Only collector lanes are getting through. Southbound 400, no access onto the east or westbound 401. Those ramps are blocked off. Southbound 404, collector ramps to the east and westbound 401 blocked as well. So only the express ramp going to the westbound 401 and the ramp to the DVP is open. The DVP is good to go in both directions, although it is a bit of a tricky drive, so use extra caution. Westbound on the 401, a new problem west of Kiel, the transfer to the collectors, that's now blocked off because of the snowy conditions. So it looks like drivers are getting stuck in that area as well. Earn your MBA from Queen Smith School of Business right here in Toronto. Find out more at smithmbaintoronto.com. Now with the forecast, here's Denise Andriachi.
Winter storm warnings
That's a
are
long-ass
still in place.
website,
I have to
that
face
is.
the music after this weather update and go outside and start the driveway and cleaning off the car. We've had so much snow, anywhere from 30 to 50 centimeters have been reported, and the warnings remain in place as the snow is not just falling, but it's blowing and drifting around. Gusts now over 60 an hour at Pearson. So now we're really getting into the blowing and drifting snow worsening. As the snow is starting to lighten up and ease up, those winds are getting stronger. So we're not done. We're not done with this. It is a mess out there. Overnight tonight, we'll still have a few flurries down to -12, the guaranteed high -3. City News Time 3:03.
Well, the latest snow totals are coming in. So far, closing in on 40 centimeters in the
Damn it,
downtown
I want to hear
core
about this
and
railroad
rising.
road.
The winds are picking up. That is top 10 in a single snowfall event for the city of Toronto. Many major routes still closed. Snow continues to fall. Side streets, no-go zones. We're getting plenty of calls to the newsroom. People stuck for hours on the 401. The latest from the roads, the rough roads in seconds, but first.
The City News 680 Extreme Weather Center is open. Momin Qureshi is knee-deep. Momin?
Charlene, it's brought to you by Subaru. Welcome to Uncommon Winter Capability, and this is certainly an uncommon winter day we're having, even though we do get snow, of course, at this time of year, not like this and not in a long, long time. Record numbers are falling, as you just heard from Denise. We have to reach, we're getting close to 40 centimeters in the downtown core. Some places higher. We could get up to 60 centimeters by the time it's all said and done. So what about your commutes heading in the home direction now? Well, starting with the TTC, Stuart Green with the TTC tells me that they had a lot of issues this morning and they're trying to get those corrected.
Heading home. Heading in the home direction. Wow, bro, that was a long sentence.
We're making progress in terms of the open cut on the subway. But again, TTC notices will have the best up-to-date information. So we would definitely advise you to go check it out. If your trip consists solely.
So he's not specifying, but that's the name of their Twitter account.
I think you can expect a longer than normal commute home.
It's literally the name of their Twitter account.
TTC
It's assumed you know that because this is Toronto.
They'll try to provide you the latest information. We'll, of course, relay that here on City News 680. As for the cleaning of the roads, Hakeem Mohammed with the City of Toronto's Transportation Department tells me that they've been out there several times today. They're doing the best they can, but because of the amount that's falling and the fact that they have to focus on the main routes,
I'm going to be useful. Let's look up this fucking drug and see what they can tell us.
Alleyways and your street that you live on may not get touched for a couple of days.
So far we've completed obviously rounds of salting or plowing, completed 2 rounds of plowing, and we're looking at maybe completing 5 or 6 before Wednesday.
So be patient and be safe when you're out there because it will take time for the city to get through all of the streets in the city. Reporting live, Momin Qureshi.
That's another interesting. See, that caught in my before Wednesday. Why don't you just say over the next day?
Other routes, you're being urged to stay home if possible. Your city's Michelle Morton.
Our traffic callers are echoing each other today.
We are here stuck on for 3 hours.
They'll never play our calls.
Going on, and everybody is stuck on the road.
It keeps on snowing, and they were just getting
I love you,
deeper and
Grandma.
deeper,
Thank you.
No luck with any tow, no luck with 511.
Ontario Provincial Police say snowplows are also getting stuck. Sergeant Kerry Schmidt is recommending drivers
They got agricultural equipment running out here.
if they are not moving in the snow.
I've got quite a few vehicles cleared already just by turning off your traction controls. Hopefully that's good advice. Try it. But if you can get home, if you can turn around, or if you haven't left your driveway, don't bother.
And if you've been calling CAA South Central
And the
Ontario,
roads will get cleared faster. Even if we're going to do this salt and plow shit, it will get done faster.
CAA is providing tips for stranded motorists. You can find that information at citynews.ca. Michelle Morton, City News.
I can't believe how bad that is.
Imagine being stranded in the ditch and seeing the Premier rolling up to help. City's Richard Southern is talking to Doug Ford, who is out driving around right now.
The Premier is literally driving around in his pickup truck right now, helping pull stranded motorists.
So his happens to be made in Michigan.
So far,
But
fortunate enough, I got the Ford 150 4x4, so I got a tether in the back. My biggest thing is on some of these cars, to try to get underneath them. I'm worried about pulling the bumper off.
Oh, now I understand. Okay, yeah.
Drove home in your truck.
This is Doug Ford. I'm a taxi driver today.
Yeah, because it was just him and I, and he was deep into it. We couldn't get him out, so I just asked him, where do you live?
Premier was just over 23 years ago. The late Mel Lastman called in the Army to shovel the snow. Do we need anything like that today?
Well, I don't know. I think we can handle it.
Who's better than Bad Boy? Nobody.
Everyone to stay home unless it's absolutely necessary. Richard Southern City News.
So today is a literal snow day. Nearly everything is shut down, including your vaccine appointments you may have waited for weeks for. City's Karen Sealand joins us with a look at getting things back on track.
The impacts of today's disruptive snowstorm on public transit could still
I am
be felt
so
tomorrow.
disappointed in
TTC
everybody.
spokesperson Stuart Green tells me Tuesday could again see longer than normal wait and travel times as the snow is affecting all of its
Now, this
bus
may
and
sound stupid,
streetcar
but
routes.
We've already got crews out now. We'll have them out as long as we can.
you should have kept it open because less people are going to show up, and you get them done out of the way faster.
In the morning. But of course, a lot will depend on what the road conditions are like. I know the City of Toronto crews are working very hard to clear the main roads, which is great. So hopefully that will make things a bit easier in the morning.
The City of Toronto says hills on TTC routes are also a priority when it comes to snow clearing operations. Green says.
Well, no, the bus showed up before the plow did.
Absolutely check TTC notices.
That shelter gets hit
for the most
a lot,
up-to-date information
apparently.
ahead of time. As for Go Transit, the agency tells me they had over 60 Go buses stuck in the snow across.
I bet. That's why you're supposed to use trains, dumbass.
Progress, but dozens remain waiting for tows. It's expected.
And you've got these buses where
will be more reliable tonight and tomorrow as the GTA digs out. But again, best advice: check before
There's
leaving
one
the house.
problem with the metal
Here in
watch.
Fiolden, City News.
And we'll check the pumps next.
This
is City News 680.
Hi, I'm
We missed-
Rita, co-founder
we
of
missed
the
the gas
Trippz Eye
price.
Institute. Many of us have spent our time at home on home improvement. Now it's time for personal improvement. Let us help you see the better days ahead, even better.
When
We
you
can
live in an
bring back
apartment that's
far,
being run down on
near,
purpose
and
to drive you
in-between
out,
vision without glasses or even reading
it's
glasses.
affecting your
Google
health,
Trippz
literally
Eye
your
Institute.
lifespan.
Call us for a
being short.
consultation. There's no charge. We're prepared, you're protected. Look after yourself. Promise me.
Now, the City News gas price update. No change at midnight.
Oh, were you talking about the eye surgery? I did that.
If
What?
cancer were a place, nearly the entire population of Kitchener would be diagnosed every year. Right now, one Canadian hears it's cancer every 3 minutes.
Mary, is because the snow is blowing. That's the other
And I
thing.
can't
We
get the
got
test. I'm the
winds coming
fourth
in.
one. I'm the fourth.
And this is part of a Saskatchewan screamer, I'm told. That's kind of the weather
You understood what I meant.
pattern.
I'm the one in the fourth, but there's one every 3 minutes. When it gets to 4 minutes, that would have been me, but they didn't test me.
For what's wreaking havoc up their eastern seaboard. My goodness, they even had a tornado down in Fort Myers overnight, killed a number of people.
I pulled this up with a better
this is where this whole thing is topsy-turvy as far as the weather forecast, or at least the weather system, is concerned. And I'm going to find out how it impacted you. I'm going to open the
I could have
lines.
told you that by looking at this mess. I didn't know about it yesterday.
Otherwise, figuratively speaking, a great
I saw
day for
light
talk
snow.
radio. Otherwise, it's not such a
There's
great
an app
day. If
down
you
there
were
that says
stranded-
World Weather.
You know, I hate to
I
say this, but if you were stranded in your car, couldn't get out, and you got to go take a pee, I mean, really?
Piss on your rear wheel.
That has been brought to my attention.
Just piss on the rear wheel like a dog
Banging on
does.
neighbors' doors, just asking if they could use the facilities. This, my hand to God, was explained.
Anecdotally, my aunt would do that like way out in the middle of nowhere.
And dig from out.
And they
this
let
is
her.
where it got very interesting because some people.
No, there's certain
you can
common human
realize that
courtesies.
Maybe they had no business being out and about to begin with. And I don't know, you have to feel sorry for them, or more to be pitied than scorned, I guess. But some idiots who were driving when they were advised not to, still running.
As opposed to the idiots that weren't advised not
was,
to.
very ill advised. But here's my question: how badly were you delayed? How badly were you
About 2
impacted
grade
by
levels.
this? Was it a point where
So they switched me to
hey, we're all
English.
in
When they
this
switched me
together,
to
you know,
never mind.
that sentiment kind of came to the fore, and you helped some idiot.
I
or some
got advanced
unfortunate
2 grades. When they switched me
out
to
from
English, I
somewhere.
noticed all those
Now,
kids
not
were 2
everybody's
grades
an idiot,
behind.
but
What the
certainly
fuck's
there are
going
still
on?
some out there who you can identify fairly readily if you're helping them and giving them a push. And they don't know enough to straighten their wheels, that kind of thing. It can be frustrating, but I've seen a lot of
Don't
that.
help them.
people spinning their wheels in my own neighborhood here out in front of the house because the snow just piled up too quickly. We heard it was coming. Did we make plans accordingly? That's where
I checked
maybe
the
some
weather.
people were
Hey,
caught short
I'm
because they're
sure
not
some
paying
government
attention
agency
to
watches my internet use,
warnings that
and they
come
know,
from
yeah,
the
he
forecasters
checks
and
the weather
others.
every so often.
Boy, it's still a mess on the 401, the eastbound ramp to the 400.
It's multiple
Some of the big
sources, too.
trucks
How
there,
the
and
fuck
the
did I
big
miss
trucks with
this?
The winches are coming in now, but that's still tied up. The
Winches?
northbound DVP is still closed.
I
The
said this
Gardner
here.
fully reopened earlier this afternoon.
Wow, that's so
Southbound
close.
lanes in the DVP are open, but not the northbound. Let's hear your stories. I wanted to start with that.
Let's get like
because
the
I think there's a
captain's
certain
chair out of an
collegiality
Astro
when it
van.
comes to people who've been impacted by this. As I say, my colleague and producer Michael Downey, he was not happy that he spent 4 hours just trying to get 6.5
This is horrible
kilometers.
reception. I don't think I can do much without
Maybe,
fucking up my
a little
system.
bit
I
of
got tons of
footwork might
memory.
have actually helped in that regard. If you break it down, you're going less than 2 kilometers an hour. that's basically just shuffling.
Hey, you know when your traction control has you going real slow? Because the engineers at General Motors figured out that if you crash at 10 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour, it don't matter how fast you're going, you're not moving anymore.
The real Lollapalooza of delay or inconvenience. But I don't. Just participating is its own
It's
reward.
odd. I'm becoming more of a fan of General Motors as I get older. Not
And
their
from out
new
of town,
shit.
888-225-TALK. Some out-of-towners might wonder, hey, what's the fuss? We deal with this. We've got our big, Ram 350s and no harm, no foul. But transit was delayed. The city streets are
3500s.
chaotic. That's the inner city stuff. But other ways that you might have felt you were really...
They do. The TTC in the city runs basically,
needing to take a pee. That's
I mean, all 3 levels, but basically 3/4 and 1 ton crew cab trucks and shit.
Show. Paulie, good afternoon.
How you doing, John?
Johnny's all right. How's Paul?
Well, I'd say it's a great day for talk radio, but I got to pee like a racehorse, and I'm trying to find a way to get into where I live. I'm at Kennedy Road in Finch, and just north of Finch, the road I take, it's plowed. The south side's not plowed at all. I must have seen about 24 buses pulled over, snowed in.
Doesn't matter. Nobody's going anywhere. They literally don't matter.
Anywhere, anytime.
And if that's where the worst conditions are, that's where the other people in cars are going to be. You could have them all get on the bus, have one idling engine instead of all of them idling.
And I'll tell you honestly, this is one of those days I wish I did bring one.
Well, yeah, that is a problem. People don't appreciate how when you're stuck sometimes and you got to go, you're clutching bags. Yeah. So I'm seeing...
Who's going to say anything to you for taking a piss on the side of your own car? Nobody. Piss on the rear right wheel.
If the side roads
Open the driver's door,
plowed at all, and you can't
turn your
even
back
enter
to
there,
the
can
back,
you go over
and
the side of the main street and park your car? Or are you likely to get a ticket?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, or they might give you a little bit of leeway, but the snowplows are
there's
coming
discretion.
through, and if you're,
they also might just move the car. They might tow your car, put it somewhere else without penalty.
Well, it looks like I'm going to probably be sleeping at the side of the road tonight. Who knows? But yeah, Johnny, it's bad out there, man.
How long you been stranded, or how long you been in the vehicle?
Now, this is just a foot, 2 feet of snow, a foot and a half of snow.
But, if I was going to call a snow day instead of going to work, I'm in essential construction, so I should have called it a snow day and stayed home. It's that bad.
Yeah. Well, you're doing interior work, I'm guessing. There's no way in God's gray earth you're doing forming or something.
1 foot, 7 and 11/16.
Like that. It's a snow day for sure, but yeah, I was working inside. This is just like I've tried 3 different routes to get to my home, side roads, and they're all bad. So just take it easy out there, folks.
Yeah, well, that's the operative phrase right there, and good luck to you. Safe travels. Appreciate it, Paul. I want to come back. I got a lot of stories lining up. Let's get to them. The interesting aspects of a day like today and what we can share. Maybe it's a common shared reference. Maybe, who knows? One day we'll all get T-shirts that, we survived the winter storm of 2022.
Shut the fuck
Although there
up.
was a worse one in 44. And we'll talk about that a little later in the program. Also have a bevy of people who will...
Yeah, we hear these stories growing up and go, okay, Grandpa.
Right now and going forward in the immediate...
Calls into the newsroom, people stuck for hours in their cars on the 401.
It's not news. You asked me to go out and do something about it? There's nothing I can do. This isn't a news story. Hey, it's snowing. Stay home. Or go fuck yourself. You're on your own. Only trucks getting around are tow trucks.
for sports.
The big 3,500 crew cabs with the progressive leaf springs, the Duramax, Power Stroke, whatever.
Got here a little bit late.
Cummins.
I haven't seen the roads that bad since I've been here, and I got a little car that doesn't handle the snow too well, so trying to make it out didn't go too well, and then had to Uber here.
And the Leafs had a full group on the ice for practice today. Leafs take on the Rangers.
It's the car's fault.
Happening now in the third period. Buffalo leads.
No, if the driver took the car out knowing that the car's no good in that weather, it's not the car's fault. It's the driver's. The problems up here, sir. Up here.
Place in Miami tonight. He is out with a personal issue. Sportsnet and Sportsnet 1 will have it at 7:30. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers await the winner of tonight's playoff game between the Rams and the Cardinals. Arizona.
What isn't a personal issue?
This season. Kickoff at 8:15 from Los Angeles. And at the Australian Open, Canadians Felix Auger-Aliassime, Leylah Fernandez, and Rebecca Marino will try for round 1 wins on day 2. The action begins at 7 this evening. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca.
Why have people been coming back to Aaron Park Lexus for over 30 years? Is it the exceptional?
Why
Good
did
morning,
we just
late at night, or on your afternoon coffee break.
We missed
Save time. Renew online. Visit serviceontario.ca/services.
You should have ran those ads
for by the
around
Government of
November,
Ontario.
December.
I'm Alan Carter from Global News. It's the most snowfall the GTA has seen in quite some time. Tonight, we'll have team coverage of the big storm with the impact across the city and how long it will take to clean up. On Global News at 5:30 and 6.
Quick Check showed me which Capital One cards I could get approved for with 100% certainty. I wish I was that certain about everything. Like whether or not this coffee is decaf. Oh yeah, that's not decaf.
Life is full of a
Swear the whole world could feel you MC. Everybody, stand up, like this thing. You ready now? Yeah! Okay.
Avec des gestes éco-responsables, par exemple, certains ont dit de vivre dans une maison plus petite pour diminuer les dépenses en électricité, etc., faire attention à l'eau. Beaucoup de jeunes, finalement, sont maintenant sensibilisés à l'environnement bien plus que nous. Et c'est très intéressant de voir ça. Et aussi l'aspect diversité, finalement, de notre belle société canadienne, puisque nous sommes vraiment de tous horizons, et c'est ça aussi qui ressort dans cette étude.
C'est vrai que c'est intéressant, ça aussi, effectivement. Ils seront beaucoup plus diversifiés qu'il y a encore là une vingtaine, trentaine d'années. Et justement, depuis 2 ans, on est en pandémie. C'est le quart de la vie des plus jeunes alphas de votre étude. Comment est-ce qu'ils vivent avec ces changements-là? Est-ce qu'ils s'adaptent bien, ces jeunes-là?
Je pense que oui. Après, c'est difficile à dire, hein, bien sûr.
À court terme,
il y a certaines études. Voilà, il y a certaines études qui ont mis en avant le fait que le stress augmenté.
I found myself wanting to wait another time. I missed the gas price. You guys could have heard it, but I was talking.
Et puis, qui se répercutait ensuite sur les enfants et des difficultés de concentration.
Right, this fucking drug. Right.
On a aussi finalement des jeunes qui sont beaucoup plus adaptables, qui finalement.
Okay, so I have trigeminal neuralgia, aka suicide disease, the most painful condition known to medicine. Affects this nerve up here. Doesn't technically affect this nerve here, but every so often there's like this weird echo effect or something. But anyway, I think only twice in my life I felt it in my lower jaw, and it was when the pain was moving a lot. So it's not easy. It's a pain. It's a nerve pain issue. 1 out of 2 people that get it kill themselves within the first 2 years of diagnosis. I've had it since I was a teenager. And before that, the sickle cell symptoms. I have sickle cell and I have parvovirus B19. That's the thing here. You can't see it. I can't see it because this side and this side are different. The laser surgery, not LASIK. I had PRK with LASIK MD, downtown Toronto location, worth every penny. So I'm I'm considered immunocompromised because I have parvovirus B19. If you have sickle cell or certain other anemias, blood conditions, basically, blood disorders, basically, you will be considered immunocompromised if you contract parvovirus B19, which spreads through primarily respiratory droplets, but it can also spread through blood-to-blood contact, which is what happened to me. Long story short, so 50% of adults over 18 have the antibodies. Apparently, I didn't, which didn't, it would, so most people, it's, so anecdotally what I've read is supposedly most people with sickle cell and parvovirus got the parvovirus when they were kids, because it's also called fifth disease, because infants get it. It's one of the 5 main fucking diseases that infants can get or some shit. And it's one, it's not the smallest, but it's one of the smallest viruses. It is not the only parvovirus that can infect humans, but it was up until 2006. I think it was 2005. It was isolated. It was discovered in 1975 by an female Australian scientist in the UK. The patient code is alias B19, because in the array of samples it was row B, column 19, or whatever, B19, column B, row 19, regardless. So that's the patient's name. So the virus is named after the patient, sort of. And so we'll never know, most likely, who that patient was. It could have been anybody. It could have been literally anybody, because it would have most likely been infants. I don't know for sure, but it would have most likely been infants they were testing, wouldn't it? Because that's when you would most likely be able to catch the symptoms and see that they were sick and test them. Oh, so, let's see. So I'm interested in this antiviral drug because I'm immunocompromised by a virus. So from 1970, in 1975 when it was discovered, it was the only parvovirus that infects humans, and it infects humans exclusively. It only infects humans. It does not infect cats, dogs, or horses. I don't know what else can be affected by a parvovirus, but or any virus. But and I am not fully familiar with the other parvovirus that can infect humans. It's not particularly relevant to my situation. This is going to be a commercial or a business report? No, it won't.
Les embarquer avec nous. Of course, Staples.
Yeah, but you're okay, eh? I mean, otherwise, traveling along, you can still keep the vehicle on the road.
Yep, so far.
Okay. All right. Don't press your luck, though. Good luck. Hopefully somebody on the home front will believe you this time. Anyway. All right. Fair enough. Thanks a lot for the call, Rob. Fast Eddie is in the house, high above the DVP. Eddie, how you doing this afternoon?
Not too bad here, high above the DVP at Don Mills Road. There seems to be some stragglers being allowed on the DVP north and southbound. Now, there are some cars out there. It was closed right down about an hour and a half or 2 hours ago or 3 hours. They closed it right down. But right now there's some stragglers out there, so maybe it's back opened. Look, this morning when I got up, I found it refreshing just to turn on the AM radio.
East York accent, thank you, sir.
About COVID. This thing knocked COVID off the front page. And I was so glad just to listen to something else except COVID. And like I said, we're tired with COVID and boosters and vaccines and social distancing. All that junk has been going on for close to 2 years. So I'm all for this snowstorm of the century. I'm all for it. I'll never forget it. It knocked COVID off the front pages of our lives.
One more book.
Look at that, Eddie. Very good. Thanks for weighing in. I think the relief is felt by many, actually. It's a blessing in disguise. Behind every snowfall, there's a silver lining. Well, there is some COVID reported news earlier today, and that's where Canada, or Health Canada, has approved this Pfizer antiviral pill, a therapeutic. Let me just give you the salient points, Eddie. Just hold your ears for a second. This is sort of good news, maybe sort of a game changer if you've got the virus onset, the symptoms. You're supposed to take immediately these pills whenever they're available, but Canada's got 1 million on order, and they're going to dispense them, I guess, proportionately, and especially for people who, have immunocompromised systems, the elderly, people who are in rural areas and have no access to hospitals are very limited. This is a new tool in the toolkit, according to the experts, and it reduces the risk of hospitalization if taken within 3 days by 89%. Within 5 days, 85%. So it's an oral vaccine that people can take at home. It's 2 tablets. You take them twice a day for 5 days.
It's not a vaccine, you asshole.
Eliminate.
Oh, the guy said it's an oral vaccine. No, it's not.
So it's a mitigating thing. Not a vaccine per se, but a therapeutic. And Pfizer has come out with their They've now been...
It's an antiviral!
...by Health Canada
it's for...
as of today. So, now you know, Eddie. Sorry to share that with you. Let me go to Bill at Etobicoke. Bill, how have you been impacted today by this snowmageddon?
Give me 1 sec, John, and I'm going to take you off speak. Yeah, I usually do a walk. I live in Etobicoke, and I walk on the Humber River Valley Trail. And I always like to go out.
Murdered and go missing?
There's nature and weather and stuff, you know, just to experience it. And today I almost died, man. I could only walk 10 steps at a time, and then I had to stop and take a rest. The snow was up to my knees. I was breaking first tracks, and I was a stubborn son of a gun, and I just persevered and went through it.
You could have got yourself a snowblower. Could somebody give this guy a snowblower? If he's going to be the first one out there, let him clear the trail, damn it.
It's almost like a donor party.
Oh, it was. Then when I got onto the street part of it at the end, anybody who didn't have a 4x4 high clearance vehicle, they were all stuck. Everybody's stuck. I look out my window right now. There's people stuck everywhere.
Yeah, you know, here's the real...
You know the, what do they call those?
He said, let me give you the salient points, and we're still hearing about...
PTC transit, you know, the seniors.
Oh, right. No
vehicles stuck.
Well, yeah, because they're low, eh? They're low because they have the running board that sort of lets people on and off. And,
no, they're low because they're low-floor vehicles. Some of them are actually quite high-floor.
At one point.
And a lot of the regular buses are low floor too. It's got nothing to do with being wheelchair accessible. It's low floor.
Walking in the tracks where the big
or being wheel trans.
Are there, and then you lose your balance and you go off to the side.
And,
no, it's done. But anyway, I'm good and I'm safe. And it's unbelievable.
Well, yeah, next time you go for a walk, take ski poles, I think, you know, just stabilizing.
Take a snowblower.
Listen, I appreciate it, Bill. Good to hear your story as well, how you were impacted and the snow was so deep or thick that even walking was difficult.
Was it Pfizer?
But, you know, he did say an interesting thing, that the wheel trans people have also been impacted. Can you imagine somebody needing for a 911 call an EMS service? We talked about the shortages in staffing with EMS last week, or last weekend, I guess. They were working really at maximum capacity.
Can we please fuck off with all this hijacking of my shit?
Can't get through. I mean, these are some serious considerations. People laughed at Bill Lastman back in '98 when he called the Army in to help.
No, you said everybody laughed at him. I remember you were
thoroughfares that were still unplowed by city.
Part of the same group of idiots.
That was the reason for it. He explained it to me again in detail before he passed. However, it was actually his wife, Marilyn, who brought it to his attention. So why don't you call in the Army? That was the story then.
Why don't you? They were reservists. It doesn't fucking matter. They're going to do 2 weekends or something a year.
Did you help somebody out? And by the way, how badly were you delayed? Looks like about 4 hours of delayed time. My producer, Michael Downey, couldn't get to his domicile. He was stuck downtown, 6.5 kilometers away. It took him over 4 hours via public transit. That's obviously, and he said, you know, it was just like madness inside the subway stations and wherever at Queen and Dufferin. It became a case, well, of come from away, just like the musical, you know. All those Americans on 9/11 when they were stranded in Canada, Newfoundland.
Queen and Dufferin.
870-6400. More of your calls and observations.
Were you hanging out in crack houses trying to pretend it was because of the snowstorm? There's snow everywhere, sir. Yeah,
welcome to Alpine Credits. So you're the new recruit. Think you have what it takes? All I have to say.
Motherfucker, this is...
In the express and collectors, that's
where tell us nothing about his drug.
Cannot get through this mountain of snow. So it's backed up on the eastbound 401 from just east of the 427 to Weston and through to Kiel. And
what's the ground clearance on a Hummer? 16 inches, right?
So eastbound 401 approaching the DVP. Also going to find all express lanes blocked there because of the weather. Collector lanes are getting through, but you're down to a single lane on the eastbound 401 approaching the DVP again in the collectors. Westbound on the 401 as you you head across the city, it's going to be a slow go for you. And as well, we have an issue west of Kiel. The transfer to the collector lanes is blocked because of the snow. As well, the westbound 401 ramp to Mississauga Road, that's shut down because of a collision, according to the MTO. Southbound 400, no access onto the east or westbound 401. Those ramps are blocked, as well as the southbound 404 collector ramps to the 401. So you can only get onto the southbound 404 DDP, as well as the express ramp onto the westbound 401. And on city streets in Mississauga, southbound McLaughlin at Derry, all lanes blocked with a crash. Traffic spotters also say eastbound Wilson is blocked from Jane to Kiel because of the weather. That's been going on for about 4 hours now. For the last 12 years, investors with the Simple Investor have received 80,000 rents, no cost repairs, no tenant interaction, and full titled ownership. To find out more, go to thesimpleinvestor.com. Now with the forecast, here's Natasha Ramsey. Hi. All right, blowing snow going to be an issue here. The winter storm warning is still in effect, but that may be downgraded to potentially a blowing snow advisory. We'll see what Environment Canada does with that.
Okay.
With these wind gusts up to 50 kilometers per hour, and they're coming in out of the northwest. So if you live in through the traditional snow belts, watch for lake effect snow ongoing through tonight. We're going to wake up to minus 11, wind chill minus 19 in the city. A few flurries to the north to start, a sunny afternoon and minus 6. Another round of snow coming. Not nearly as much as this. This is an Alberta clipper. It starts tomorrow evening after 8 p.m. Overnight tonight, down to a low of minus 11. It's currently minus 3 degrees at Pearson. Feels like minus 12.
City News Time, 3:34.
Near Met Relvier. What?
It has been an incredibly slow snowstorm moving through. It's been a snowstorm for the ages, and it's not over yet. People are still trapped in their cars on parts of the 401. More on that in
Near
a moment.
Met
It is an extreme start to
What
the
the
week. So let's go to
fuck?
City's home Karachi in the Extreme Weather Center.
Let's say it a third time. What
James Extreme
happens?
Weather Center brought to you by Subaru. Welcome to uncommon winter capability. What a day, and it's not over yet. The snow continues to fall, but our meteorologist Natasha Ramsahai says it's starting to slow down and will taper off, hopefully end in the overnight hour. She says the issue isn't just how much snow we've gotten, but how fast it was coming down.
The issue is not the amount of snow that fell, 30, 35, even 50 centimeters of snow. If that fell over a day and a half, snow plowing equipment would have been able to keep up. The issue was most of that fell in such a short period of time this morning.
Yeah, that has been causing a lot of problems on the roads for drivers,
from that-
commuters, and even...
From that, we jump to this. Canada does. See, the official government site, I think. How long does the coronavirus live on surfaces and objects? We don't know exactly how long the virus causing COVID-19 lives on different surfaces. As we do, it's 3 days. What is it? 3 days on stainless steel and 7 on cardboard or some shit, even at minus 18 and all that shit.
Street that you live on, your laneway, your crescent, or wherever, may not be done until late Tuesday, early Wednesday morning. So keep that in mind and be patient and stay safe.
Maybe risky with other
on clearing up
medications.
all those above ground tracks. Those were all affected this morning in the morning commute. They
Why
had
aren't
some
those
TXP
heated?
shutdowns, so they're trying to make sure that that's up and running for the afternoon commute. But keep it tuned to City News 680. And
You've got
log
the
on,
fucking third
TTC
rail
Hubs.
right
They're
there. You've
gonna
got
put
so
out
much
any updates that
electricity
they
right
have
there.
as well. So there's a lot going
You have
on.
an electric
still on,
snowplow,
plus the
snow melter
has
thing or
tapered
some
off, but,
shit.
the residual effects of those 40
Remember, those
to 50
tracks are up in the
centimeters that are
fucking
already
air
on the
or
ground
separated
will come,
somehow. Whatever
really
you melt
wreaking
off
havoc
is
on the
gone.
situation
There's
on
no
the road,
plow
people's
pushing it back
commuting.
in.
Again, if you don't have to be out there, don't. Reporting live, Bowman Qureshi, City News.
Happening now, it has been an extremely slow go for drivers in the GTA today, especially on the 401. As City's Phil Martino tells us, many of them have been stuck in their vehicles for hours. Phil? Charlene, it is one of the biggest issues we're hearing about today. Those drivers stuck on the eastbound 401 from Weston to Kiel Express and collector lanes, and they've been there for hours waiting for their opportunity
medication.
to get through. There have also been problems on the other way, going the other way on the 401.
Heading westbound on the 401 express lane. Do not use them if you want to take the 400. You can't get off. It's a major problem. We should try and get some equipment out there to clean that up.
And this caller into the newsroom is having issues moving his vehicle on a residential street.
It's the problem I have in Brampton.
The resident is shoveling the snow and leaving it on the street, so people cannot get out.
Now, CAA spokesperson Caitlin First tells me if you find yourself in a dangerous situation, especially on a major highway, first and foremost, keep your safety
Turn off
top of
your
mind.
traction control, because I'm a police officer. Fucking idiot. By the way, that goes all the way back to the shootings in the street because of the tow truck thing. Yes, it does.
Police are advising motorists to avoid non-essential travel today. We are waiting for word from the OPP about when those drivers
C23, H32, F3, N504.
City News Time 3:38. So the Premier putting his F-150 to good use today, driving around helping drivers dig out from the snow. City's Richard Southern's talked to Doug Ford.
Imagine being stranded at the side of the road and seeing the Premier roll up to help you. That's what happened to this guy.
This is Doug Ford. I'm the taxi driver today. The snowplow, everything else.
You gave this guy a lift, Premier?
Dropped him off. At least he's safe. He's at home now.
Is that the damn way?
Stay home.
Premier, does the city need any provincial support here? Do you think we even need any military support?
Well, I don't know. I think we can handle it ourselves. We have some great men and women out there working hard. And I know the plows and the tow truck drivers.
Premier, this comes on the day that schools were supposed to reopen for in-person learning. Kids, they don't even get a snow day anymore, right? They just go on the computer.
Yeah, well, you're right. We have remote learning. It's amazing, the technology, but give everyone a day or two and we'll dig our way out of it.
The irony here is that although the Premier is telling everyone to stay home, he himself is driving around. Richard Southern, City News.
And Canada now
He's the
has
fucking
its first
Premier.
approved antiviral drug to treat COVID-19.
Yes, we're trying to learn about it now.
Pfizer's antiviral COVID pill has received approval from Health Canada for adults at high risk of having severe symptoms. It will be given by prescription, and Canada's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Teresa Tam, says only after a patient has tested positive.
Ritonavir. What's that?
Test, but if it's simply not available or not available fast enough, then the rapid antigen test may be used.
The pill is 89% effective at preventing serious
Hold on,
illness
there's
in
two
high-risk
drugs here.
patients. The Trudeau government has already pre-purchased 1 million doses, and Procurement Minister Philomena Tassi says the first delivery arrived this weekend.
Of more than 30,000 treatment courses, with at least another 120,000 on their way between now and the end of March.
Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This is City News 680.
Me? A mortgage? The bank won't give me a mortgage.
Before you assume anything, you owe it to yourself to explore all your options. At Northwood Mortgage, they not only offer incredible rates, they are more flexible than the banks. They take the stress out of the process and even show you ways to be free of your mortgage faster.
Now that's a dream.
The mortgage specialists at Northwood have the answers.
Northwood Mortgage.
Visit northwoodmortgage.com.
License 10349.
Now the 680 News, City News 680 gas price update. Empro predicts the price won't change at midnight, holding at $1.46.9.
At the Monitoring Center, we care about your home security as well as your pocketbook.
Okay, so I don't know what I know or don't know. It says pharmaceutical. This is what's on Wikipedia. So it says there's 2 drugs as part of this combination thing, so I might as well read that off. Nirmatrelvir is an that's the word antiviral as it is, so it's something like that. Is an antiviral medication, anagram or whatever, is an antiviral medication developed by Pfizer, which acts as an orally active. Does that mean it doesn't get destroyed by eating? Okay, 3C-like protease inhibitor. It is part of the Nirmatrelvir/ritonavir combination sold under the brand name Paxlovid. Right. Jesus is what? Development, pharmaceutical. Coronaviral proteases cleave multiple sites in the viral polyprotein, usually after glutamine residues. Early work on related human rhinoviruses showed that the flexible glutamine side chain could be replaced by a rigid pyrrolidone. These drugs had been further developed prior to the COVID-19 pandemic for other diseases, including SARS. That's another respiratory ailment The utility of targeted action. So another one. I'm talking about parvovirus, but this coronavirus is CoV2. Right. Yeah. SARS CoV2. Sorry. The utility of targeting the 3CL proteins in a real-world setting was first demonstrated in 2018. Odd timing there. When GC376, that's not Government of Canada, is it? A prodrug of GC373 was used to treat. What is not pro? Okay, what does that mean? Was used to treat. It's not anti. It's a prodrug, antivirals and prodrugs. Okay. Was used to treat the previously 100% lethal cat coronavirus disease, feline infectious peritonitis, caused by feline coronavirus. Did you know that was possible? I keep telling you, animals get these diseases too. Well, hear about it. Because it costs $50 to kill the cat or nothing to let it die. That's why. That's why. That's the reason why you don't hear about it. I don't even know what the fuck this particular virus is. I know they get coronaviruses, but I didn't know they had one in particular that was 100% lethal for cats. Nirmatrelvir and GC373 are both peptidomimetics, share the aforementioned pyrrolidone in P1 position, and are competitive inhibitors. However, they use a nitrile and an aldehyde, respectively, to bind the catalytic cysteine. How long are we going to go on with this? There's a story they hide here.
Current wind chill -13. Now the dynamic funds market minute from the Business Center, Ari Rabinovich.
We've got the TSX in the green, being pushed by the major banks in Canada, which just saw record highs today. The TSX is sitting at 21,525, a gain of 0.8%, 168 points. We also have commodities trading electronically right now, including oil, which is higher by 50 cents to $83.81 US per barrel. Price for gold higher by $2.50 to $1,819 per ounce. And also the Canadian dollar higher by 22/100ths of a cent, 79.86 cents US. The Dow Jones, that's lower by 201 points to 35,911. We also have the S&P 500 higher by 4 points to 4,662. And the NASDAQ higher by 87 points, 14,893. At the City News Business Center, I'm Ari Rabinovich.
One resolution worth keeping this year: invest better.
You park. Can I afford?
Nirmatrelvir was. I'm going to only read the next paragraph, which is like 3 pages long. Maybe I won't. It's the last paragraph. Nirmatrelvir, Remdesivir, was developed by modification of the early clinical candidate Lufotrelvir. What does Trelvir mean? Which is also a covalent protease inhibitor, but its warhead, apostrophe missing, its warhead is a phosphate prodrug of a hydroxyketone. Lufotrelvir needs to be administered intravenously, limiting its use to a hospital setting. Stepwise modification of the tripeptide protein mimetic. You put the word stepwise at the beginning, then you end with tripeptide protein mimetic. Led to Nirmatrelvir, NIR, which is suitable for oral administration. Okay. Key changes include a reduction in the. Does that mean so it's a prodrug? Okay. Key changes include a reduction in the number of hydrogen bond donors and the number of rotatable bonds by introducing a rigid bicyclic. Are you bicyclic? No, I drive. Non-canonical amino acid, which mimics the leucine residue found in earlier inhibitors. Oh, I want that hitting that. This residue had previously been used in the synthesis of bochipravir. BOCEPREBIR. Right. Tertlucine, Jesus Christ. TERT-LEUCINE. Abbreviation, TLE. Thank you. Capital T, lowercase l, lowercase e. Okay. Used in the P3 position of near mat. Where were we? Tertlucine, abbreviation TLE, used in the P3 position of niratrelvir, was identified first as optimal non-canonical amino acid, a potential drug targeting SARS-CoV-2 3C-like proteins using combinatorial chemistry. Combinatorial chemistry. You just mix shit together until you figured it out. And in brackets here, hybrid combinatorial substrate library technology. And that's the end of that section. The chemistry and pharmacology. Jesus. Full details of the synthesis of niratrelvir were first published by scientists from Pfizer. Well, that's helpful. In the penultimate step, a synthetic homochiral amino acid is coupled with a homochiral amino amide, whatever, using the water-soluble carbodiamide EDCI as coupling agent. The resulting intermediate is then treated with. No, I need to know the pharmacology. Where the fuck are we? In the co-packaged medication niratrelvir, ritonavir serves to slow the metabolism of niratrelvir via cytochrome enzyme inhibition, thereby increasing the circulating concentration of the main drug. Maybe. This effect is also used in HIV therapy. Thank you. I was looking for that word. Where ritonavir is used in combination with another protease inhibitor to similarly enhance their pharmacokinetics. Okay. That's all.
I couldn't. And it. Oh, see snow, go slow. You have to get a tow, and then you have to examine the tracks, because often the tracks end up damaged as a result of the accident. So we had lots happening. The buses, they just slow down, and they were, passengers would, the few passengers we did have today would just sit warmly on the bus until they were rescued. Closing the highways helped, because it means that the buses can get rescued, towed, or the other cars that
closing the highway
were towed. But we still have dozens of buses out there that are sitting patiently waiting to get out of the deep snow.
Yeah, I was wondering about that as well. For example, thoroughfares like the Don Valley Parkway, the northbound lanes are still closed, and you've got a dedicated bus lane going up there. So what do? Reroute or just not take that route?
Well, we did a couple of different things. We proactively canceled some routes that you can take a train. For example, there's a bus that people like. It's a direct bus that goes to Hamilton, but there are Lakeshore West trains, so we canceled
I don't believe those words.
Bus.
There's a bus that people like.
To Niagara Falls that just would take an enormous amount of time to get there. Some of our buses that use the Gardner and the Don Valley, they can reroute. But for the most part, the side routes that they have to take.
So how many people didn't show up to work at the hospital today?
There were a lot of cancellations. But most people did stay home. The people that did travel really have to travel for work. They're often essential workers. And so we did our best to get them there. Most of them were very, very patient, and they're still being patient. But this isn't over yet either. That's the thing I want to tell customers. This isn't over yet. Now perhaps the hard work begins, which is the cleanup, and that likely will make tomorrow's commute a little difficult as well, because we're going to be cleaning this up for the next day.
Again, Anne-Marie Aikens with us, Head of Media and Public Relations for Metrolinx. So the tow truck driver was initially one of the impediments earlier today to getting the system going.
Money today!
I mean, I'm guessing some crews.
All I know is he must have heard me, because he's driving in this shit with his window rolled all the way down.
They weighed in the balance that they wouldn't get to wherever they had to. Their commute to get to the staging area was also impeded. Did you have some of that going on?
Well, we started planning for the
Did you
storm
just
because
verbally
we had
typo?
lots of notice for it back on a Friday. And what we do is part of that snow planning is that we advance our crews early. So the supervisors come in especially early, and then the bus operators and the crews come in even early as well. So because the snow, the bulk of it really started later in the morning, or at the peak of commute, they were already there. It was the crews and the bus operators that are coming in for the afternoon shift, or the people working in our control center and people working in our stations, that sort of thing, that come in for the afternoon shift. Many of them are still trying to get to work, just like everyone else. They're having trouble. So that's kind of where we are with staff, and our contractors that plow our stations and all of that, they're having trouble getting to work. They were, seriously delayed. They have lots of work to do with it, because not only did you have to plow once, this is one of those storms you have to plow several times.
Right.
Lots of small passes. It's just like painting. Lots of thin coats.
For a lot. We have some things that are already built in, like we have heaters on switches, that helps. But when you get 60 centimeters of snow, it can't. Those heaters can't work.
Yes, they do.
Platforms have heaters underneath them, and that helps as well. But again, 60 centimeters of snow coming in a very short amount of time is a lot to melt.
Anne-Marie, you were saying earlier, though, the trains are not really impeded.
You're really trying to tell us the amount of snow makes a difference as to whether a heater will function or not?
To maybe get downtown some way by hook or by crook, or maybe took the train in. Are the trains still leaving on schedule from Union Station?
Well, for a couple of reasons, sometimes they're not. One is because of the switch issues. Or the car is stuck on the track. We even had a snowplow stuck on our tracks this afternoon. So because of that, they get impeded by, and so the schedule gets mucked up that way because of those kinds of things. So it's usually external factors, not the train. They can plow through. I'm sure we've all seen videos of trains plowing through deep snow. That isn't an issue at all for them, and they're warm and they're functioning really well. The Up Express, one is the airport wasn't sending any planes out, so they weren't really needed so much. But
nobody was riding it, and you guys still ran it the last 4 years.
On our tracks, and the heavy snow was a little
$50 to ride a fucking train, or $40 to take a limo.
What we have been doing is canceling some periodically, and then we reinstate them, and so
you might as well go all the way ghetto and take the TTC, the subway, for $3.
Checking the website to see what's going through, what's not going through, and that's been a challenge for them for sure.
Yeah, and this is across the region from Niagara to Durham, right, and north to Barrie.
Oh, absolutely, it's right across the region. It's affected everyone. It's just surprising this amount of snow. I'm from Barrie, so I'm used to getting this kind of snow, or at least I was used to getting this kind of snow, but everyone's getting this kind of snow. So I've seen pictures from Hamilton and Niagara to, it's just everywhere. So people are all dealing with it. Tomorrow, I think we're going to, in order to facilitate the cleanup, and really get this done and inspect our tracks, we'll likely run a modified service, so it can still get people to where they need to go, but it'll give us more time to clean up.
Wow, so the full system won't be restored likely until at least midweek.
I would suggest by Wednesday, yes, it will be. We were already somewhat modified service because ridership is only about 10 to 12%, and today was likely 2 to 5%. It was very, very low. So some of the buses, they would arrive and there was one customer, or there were no customers to go on it. So it is seriously, if you think about it, most of our customers are commuters, and many they go to their job, and many of them are working from home, like I am. They've returned to working from home, like our staff have. The schools haven't been the post-secondary schools are not attending right now, so and that's a lot of our customers.
Understood. Well, listen, it's sounding to me like it's a very disruptive day, and maybe tomorrow will be equally so, or somewhat so, and then we've got Wednesday to look forward to where the full system should be restored. Anne-Marie Aikens, the head of media and public relations for Metrolinx. I really appreciate your spelling it all out for us, putting it into perspective, Anne-Marie. You stay warm and well.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, Jen.
You got it. We'll come back into hour two. We'll get the update in town on the TTC. And then we'll find out from somebody who knows the history of storms in this city. 1944, mid-December, there was one that walloped this town with even more casualties. So we'll sort of put things into context as far as, when the city gets buffeted by this kind of a weather system. We'll do that. Hour two awaits moments away on the Oakley Show, AM 640 Toronto.
Okay, new year, new dreams, right? Well, here's one to start with. A 2022 Honda CR-V. March 2021 Canadian Black Book Best Retained Value Award winner. And it's loaded with standard features like remote engine starter, heated front seats, and Honda sensing technologies. Come see us at the Dream Garage event to reserve and lease a 2022 CR-V.
Okay, that's sort of inverse effect. That means you might as well buy a used.
99% and start the year off right. For 60 months, $2,110 down. Taxes extra. Anticipated delivery early 2022. See HondaOntario.com.
The people in the used market might as well buy a new one.
You're up to it to here, and I'm not talking about the snow necessarily, but just the frustration of dealing with your long-term disability claim. This is where you need an ally, somebody to help you through the morass of maybe the insurance company denials, or they're ragging the puck, and they're making.
Switching your car and home insurance to Bel Air Direct with an online quote could save you up to $700.
De la ville Rennes et du sud de l'Ontario.
Il n'y a pas de matin pareil. En semaine, des 6 à l'heure. Ici Radio-Canada Première.
Les employés non vaccinés causent des maux de tête aux entreprises. Un exemple à Saint-Tite au Québec. Je m'appelle Manon Globensky, soyez des nôtres.
L'heure du monde. Aujourd'hui, 18h.
You send all these people home. How can any of it be their fault if they're not working no more? But you're going to let sick people work as long as they're vaccinated.
Au 860 AM, à Toronto. Du cœur aux idées.
Bonjour, ici Lynn Françoise Pelletier à Toronto. Il est 16h. Voici les informations. La journée est chaotique en Ontario. Une tempête de neige s'est déchaînée sur le sud et l'est de la province. Il a neigé abondamment. Les conditions routières sont particulièrement difficiles et la police provinciale recommande aux gens d'éviter de quitter la maison. Les précisions de Natacha McDonald-Dupuis. L'avertissement de blizzard est maintenant levé à Toronto, mais la situation sur les routes continue d'être très difficile. Les autoroutes Gardiner et Don Valley Parkway, des axes majeurs à Toronto, sont fermés. La police indique que les déneigeuses n'arrivent pas à se frayer un chemin parce que des véhicules immobilisés dans la neige bloquent leur passage. Cela n'a pas empêché le premier ministre de l'Ontario, Doug Ford,
yes, because even, oh yeah, our trains will run, but the idiot driving across the tracks, his vehicle ain't gonna run.
4x4 pickup trying to help people out.
Même s'il est sur la route, Doug Ford a demandé aux gens de rester à la maison sur les ondes d'une radio locale de Toronto. La circulation continue d'être difficile un peu partout dans le sud de l'Ontario, où entre 40 et 60 cm de neige sont attendus par endroits. Des cliniques de vaccination sont fermées à Toronto et Kingston notamment. Ici, Natacha McDonald.
I can't believe they were telling people turn on. I can believe the cops are doing it. I can't believe the radio stations are repeating it like it makes sense. Turn off your traction control when the traction gets better. That doesn't make sense.
Une cinquantaine d'établissements ont enregistré des éclosions et l'un d'eux, son premier décès d'une personne atteinte du coronavirus. Camille Fareisen fait le point.
Le froid et la neige abondante soulèvent des inquiétudes dans les refuges déjà à saturation. Certains n'ont nulle part où dormir, dit Doug Johnson, Atlem, pasteur de rue au Sanctuary Ministries. Lors de la première réunion virtuelle du Conseil de santé de la métropole, des travailleurs sociaux ont demandé des mesures d'urgence. Une cinquantaine de refuges luttent contre des éclosions et la ville a confirmé le récent décès d'un résident du refuge Seton House en raison de la Covid-19. La coprésidente de Health Providers Against Poverty, Alice Cavana, demande que les masques N95 promis par la ville arrivent rapidement dans les refuges. Il faut aussi ouvrir plus d'espace, dit-elle. 4 centres de réchauffement ont ouvert et du personnel de première ligne a été redéployé pour assurer la stabilité du système de refuge, mais ce n'est pas assez. Imaginez être malade avec des sueurs, de la toux, des vomissements dans une chambre avec d'autres personnes, décrit l'infirmière de rue Cathy Crow. Elle exhorte la ville et son conseil de santé de plaider en faveur d'un programme d'urgence fédéral de supplément de loyer pour reloger des milliers d'itinérants vers des lieux sûrs en attendant la construction de logements sociaux. La médecin hygiéniste de Toronto, Dr Elaine De Villa, assure que la ville travaille avec tous ses partenaires pour prioriser la vaccination dans les refuges. Ici Camille Feyreisen, Radio-Canada, Toronto.
Dans le nord de l'Ontario, la route de glace de Whittam, qui relie la transcanadienne aux communautés autochtones de la baie James, est ouverte pour la saison. Une bonne nouvelle pour les communautés puisque l'hiver dernier, la route n'avait pas été aménagée en raison de craintes liées à la transmission de la COVID-19. Bienvenue Senga explique.
La circulation reprend sur la route de glace Whittam, fraîchement aménagée pour la saison. Il y a beaucoup d'enthousiasme, indique le directeur du développement économique de la Première Nation de Moose, Christan Kapachisset. De nombreux résidents ont hâte de profiter de cette route éphémère de 170 km qui traverse des marécages, des tourbières et des rivières gelées, d'autant plus qu'elle n'avait pas été aménagée l'an dernier pour réduire les risques de transmission de la COVID-19 à des communautés isolées déjà vulnérables. Mais cette fois-ci, la communauté de Mouskri comprend mieux le virus et a décidé d'ouvrir la route moyennant des mesures de précaution. Les usagers devront remplir des formulaires de dépistage actifs à des points de contrôle. Plus de 100 véhicules empruntent habituellement la route de glace chaque jour, selon Stan Kapachezit. Il s'attend à ce qu'elle soit encore plus occupée cette année par des citoyens qui cherchent à rapidement faire le plein de provisions, étant donné le climat d'incertitude engendré par la COVID-19. Plus au sud, les fournitures coûtent aussi moins cher, indique Peter Wesley, qui dirige l'entreprise responsable de l'aménagement de la route de glace. Le gouvernement de l'Ontario a contribué près de 400 000 $ pour l'aménagement de la route. Ici, bienvenue Senga, Radio-Canada, Sudbury.
Sur la scène internationale en France, le candidat d'extrême droite à l'élection présidentielle d'avril prochain, Éric Zemmour, a été condamné à une amende de 14 000 $ pour provocation à la haine raciale par un tribunal parisien. En septembre 2020, il avait qualifié les migrants mineurs isolés de voleurs, d'assassins et de violeurs sur la chaîne CNews. Éric Zemmour a dénoncé une condamnation idéologique et stupide et il compte porter sa cause en appel. Le candidat d'extrême droite va par ailleurs être...
Really the priority is to keep those main streets clear. Now there's lots of cancellations around the city, pretty much everything closed today that wasn't absolutely critical as part of a service. The TTC saying they are doing their best to keep those above ground tracks clear to try to hope to use them. They weren't able to use them this morning on line 1 and 2 and the SRT, which had to be shut down, so keep an eye on TTC alerts. They will update the situation as it goes as we move into the afternoon rush hour as well, and we will keep you all updated here on City News 680, keeping the Extreme Weather Center open all evening. Reporting live, Bowman Qureshi, City News.
Happening now, scary situation. Stuck on the highway, running low on fuel. We're getting many calls from people in their cars for hours on the 401. Police are advising motorists to avoid non-essential travel. City's Phil Martino joins us with the latest on that. Phil.
James, imagine being stuck in your vehicle for hours. That's exactly what's happened to a number of motorists on the eastbound 401.
You in a vehicle? That's horrible. You have enough money, you could have stayed home.
Lanes. They've been waiting since this morning for their chance to get...
I mean, I should have good kids. And you're going to tell people to put kitty litter in the trunk, and you're not going to tell them why, right? They do that. Put kitty litter in your trunk. For what reason? Gas prices next. Okay. They do you no good in the trunk for most of these vehicles. Oh, motherfucker. Where do I start? This is long as fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ. So this is parvovirus B19. I'm going to try to start at the relevant parts here. It is classified as an erythrovirus because of its capability, no apostrophe, to invade red blood cell precursors in the bone marrow. That means my blood cells are already infected as they're created. So even if I wasn't, and even if I could overcome the anemia, I'd still have the virus. I would have more of the virus. 3 genotypes with subtypes have been recognized. The genome, I didn't know that. What subtype I got? The genome of human parvovirus B19 encodes 4 other proteins in addition to VP1 and VP2. The most notable of which is a large non-structural protein commonly referred to as NS1. NS1 sequence specifically binds, and there's a hyphen in there, and cleaves DNA via restriction endonuclease activity at its N-terminus. NS1 is responsible for the regulation of certain cellular promoters, including the P21WAF1 promoter, and is thought to regulate the virus's own promoter. The 11-kDA protein encoded by the viral genome has been implicated in viral DNA replication. This is going to take 2 minutes.
Premier, it was just over 23 years ago that the late Mel Lastman called in the Army to Toronto. Do we need any help like that today?
In the back.
I don't know. I think we can handle it ourselves.
Premier, in other news, the federal government has approved a new Pfizer antiviral pill, and I understand Ontario is getting 10,000 doses.
I wish we could get a lot more, but
I'm not sure. You got like a couple million kilometers of roads in this province.
The hospitals, which is our biggest challenge right now.
The Premier also tells me news on whether or not restrictions may be eased next week could be on the way soon.
These idiots will start off clearing the parking lot and then clear the road at the hospital. Yeah, you're doing it all backwards.
Indigenous history and culture.
Committed to moving forward in the process of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
This is City News 680.
We all know family and friends have been recommending Capital Direct for years, and now with the advent of FlexiLine,
they're all doing their level best to get people around. Safety, of course, is the top priority in all of this. So, normally what would happen is if a bus were going out of service, the operator would be directed to empty the bus. People would then wait for the next bus to come along. On a day like today, we're not doing that.
No, because there's a bus smashed into the bus shelter, but it's from the. It went across 3 lanes of traffic there.
They're more than welcome to do that. But so the rules kind of go out the window a little bit on days like today. We want to make sure that everybody is safe, that people are warm, that people are well sheltered. As best they can be, but it's, and like I say, the overwhelming majority of people understand that the weather is not one of the things that we can control in TTC.
Again, Stuart Green's with us, Media Relations Officer with the TTC. It's been a heck of a day for Stuart. You can appreciate as well the people who are using the TTC, and certainly, as you say, the passengers who have shown inordinate patience. But what happens if a route is blocked? Do you reroute? At what point? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so we will if we can. But as anyone who's been on the roads today, and I got to say, I think the only people who are on the roads today are people who absolutely have to be on the roads today. People who might need essential, groceries or appointments, going to essential jobs. If we can divert around, a collision or a blocked road, we will. But even the diversions today are blocked up. So, we've got to get a little creative with some of our diversions sometimes. But the bottom line is that I don't think there are any clear routes today in Toronto, and that is not at all a knock against the city, which is. They're up against it as well, trying to clear the roads, and they'll get the main roads clear, which will certainly help us and help our services move in the afternoon. But, even our Southeast, for example, got caught in it today. We've got areas like between St. Clair West and Shepherd West that runs along the Allen roadway there, and it's open to the elements. We shut down that service today. We shut down Scarborough RT service today entirely. Subways are turning back and they're all staying underground. So it's, the elements really caught us today. We do have plans in place. We have switch steers. We have a lot of things that can deal with most winter weather. I think everyone realizes after what we've seen, your reporting and some of the record things that we're hearing, this is not a normal winter day in Toronto.
It just popped a thought into my head, but it was something I would best address to, I guess, Anne-Marie Aikens with Metrolinx, because it's her beat. What is that open-end ended thing? Because you got the Eglinton Crosstown, for example, you got the thoroughfare along St. Clair as well. I mean, have they been impeded? Well, the Eglinton isn't operating right now, but I mean, that might be a consideration in subsequent years. But how about the...
Well, I mean, we'll be operating until when it does open, but those dedicated rights of way generally, they can run a little better on days like today. Streetcars, the new streetcars in particular are very good at getting through the snow in winter. I know last year we had a couple of snow days and our streetcar network was just going along. It was great. The problem that we have is that, sometimes cars, get stuck on the tracks, so we can't get by them. Sometimes people park, I live in Riverdale, sometimes people park along Broadview against a snowbank, but they're parked out in the middle of a streetcar track. So, these things,
that's
impede us as well. So even though the streetcars themselves could get through the winter or the snowy track, if there are things blocking the track, that becomes a problem for us too. So that's one of the other things that we're dealing with today is on our streetcar network is cars that are blocking the streetcar tracks.
What about Wheel-Trans? Now they're low to the ground. I mean, they might be having some trouble today getting people to therapy and what have you.
Yeah, so a couple of things about Wheel-Trans. I mean, the vehicles, the older vehicles are, they're low, but they're quite heavy. So, they can sort of, barrel through some of this. But, we've had the last number I heard was about 70% of our Wheel-Trans bookings today. People canceled them. So it sounds like, the majority of people, we had about 4,000 trips booked, and the majority of, people just decided to stay home today. Which is great. So, but again, the Wheel-Trans vehicles, they operate in mixed traffic. They're operating along roads that, may or may not be blocked. So, all of those things play into the service, whether it's Wheel-Trans or a regular service.
This is still not news with the city. I mean, is it coordinated so that the bus routes are prioritized for clearing?
Well, the city, yeah. So certainly the city of Toronto, I don't want to speak for the city of Toronto, but I know that their priority is always clearing the main arterial roads first.
And that's where the buses
that really does help us because, the majority of our busiest routes are, big arterial routes like in Eglinton, a Lawrence, a Jane, Keeler, Markham Road. So those always get first priority. So, we're able to get service through on those routes. But then you go into some of those secondary routes or, buses have to make turns on the less traveled routes. I'm thinking of the Bellamy in Scarborough, like a route that I used to take. But, those roads are sort of secondary to the main roads and the expressways. So, the city is great at clearing the way and we work with them and, everyone's, aware of what's happening. But, again, today they're up against it, right? So, we're going to give them the time to do their work too.
Any damaged vehicles as a result today?
We had a couple of bumps of buses, nothing significant, thankfully, and we did not have any reports of any injuries, thankfully. So, it's TTC is safe today. It's slow, and that is. It's one of those days where, you and I are talking about TTC service being slow, which isn't, strictly related to a TTC issue. This is, of course, an extreme weather event.
What about down in the subways themselves? I mean, some people have said, it's just like people masked and milling about and, they can't really make sense of the instructions that are coming forward. Some leaning against the wall, sitting there, just trying to figure out, and calling contacts and what's the situation like down in some of the hubs?
Well, I mean, if you're in a place where there's a turnback, so for example, if you're on a subway, that's approaching St. Clair and you're trying to continue north, you'll have to get to the surface. We'll have people there that will help you and direct you. But
there's vehicles,
people who are deciding
vehicles with them slippery rubber tires and no tracks are somehow going to get up the hill faster than a train.
Elements, but we have learned a lot of that today. I mean, the other piece of this, of course, is that.
By the way, how come there's no pedestrian tunnels alongside the subways? Why not?
the low numbers from the pandemic and in the lockdowns and things like that, and the weather, it's kept a lot of people away. So, like I said earlier, the only people who are riding the TTC today are people who absolutely need to be out. And we want to be there for them, and we are there for them, but it's taking a bit of time to get them where they need to go and ensure that we can do it safely.
Extraordinary circumstances today, and it's all understood. So hopefully by tomorrow or shortly thereafter, everything will get restored to normal, and we can get on with our lives. Supposed to be some melt coming tomorrow, I guess, with a high of 6 degrees. Wednesday's +4, so I don't know if that's going to have any impact, but nonetheless, it'll be less fraught than it is today. I appreciate it, Stuart, very much for giving us a sense for what you're up against and the TTC operators and so on and so forth. So we wish you the best going forward.
Thanks, John. My pleasure.
You got it, Stuart Green, Media Relations Officer with the TTC. As bad as this is, there was a date. It was in December 11th of 1944, where the city really got walloped, and there were a number of casualties. And because it was, I guess, a time, too, where we didn't have some of the modern technologies, if you will, it was more impactful, believe it or not, than today was, or at least it seems so on the surface. We're going to remember about that one in the moments ahead. We're going to be joined by the former general manager of the Canadian. Calls that time, or can recount it anyway, rather vividly in moments here on the Oakley Show.
So I'm learning why I forgot everything I just learned about that drug. But where are we? Fucking hell. It says here that so I'm on the wrong page too. This is helpful. Where the fuck did the beginning of the article? Jesus Christ. This is useless. It's supposed to be about a B19 vaccine. Thank you. Because somehow, even though I'm using it, the screen is locking over and over. Antiviral drugs are not available for the treatment of parvovirus B19 infection, and no vaccines for the virus currently approved. A recombinant human parvovirus B19 vaccine, MEDI-491, MedImmune, composed of VP1 and VP2, these are pieces of the viral DNA, was expressed in a baculovirus system in which the two capsid proteins, that's what they are, self-assemble into virus-like particles devoid of viral DNA. Multiple linear neutralizing epitopes are present in the VP1 unique and VP1-VP2 junction regions. A recombinant peptide corresponding to AA60-100 of the VP1 unique region, including a sequence with no neutralizing activity, reacted with IgG in 86% of serum samples from human volunteers with documented signs of past B19 infection. Okay, what the fuck? In a previous study, MEDI-491 formulated with aluminum hydroxide was found to be safe and well tolerated, but failed to induce virus neutralizing antibodies. J. Balsley. Unpublished data. What? Unpublished? Where the fuck? Why am I? How do you know that? Unpublished by you? Who? Subsequent preclinical studies identified MF59C.1 Chiron, an oil-in-water emulsion, squalene in citrate buffer, as a potent adjuvant for MEDI-491. MF59C.1 adjuvant has been extensively tested in humans, footnote 6, and was selected as the adjuvant in the present study. Materials and methods. Parvovirus B19 empty capsid particles consisting of 25% VP1 and 75% VP2 were produced using a recombinant baculovirus system as described elsewhere. Earlier. It's described somewhere. Surfactant stabilized emulsion adjuvant MF59C.1 was supplied by Chiron. I thought that was the name of the company. Okay. MF59C.1 is an oil-in-water formulation that contains surfactants tween 80 and span 85, TWEEN and SBA and no shit, along with squalene emulsified under high pressure conditions. Yeah, but it's not gonna. Is it stay pressurized? Like, what do you mean? Like, is that like the copper on the bottom of the aluminum pan or no, stainless steel? There's 24 healthy. Okay, it's now. Okay, this is not the part I was looking for. Damn it! Ah. Abstract. The recombinant human parvovirus B19 vaccine, MEDI491, MedImmune, composed of the VP1 and VP2 capsid proteins and formulated with MF59C.1 adjuvant, was evaluated in a randomized double-blind phase 1 trial. Parvovirus B19 seronegative adults, N equals 24, received either 2.5 or this means there's 24, 2.5 or 25 I believe it's micrograms. MEDI491 at 0, 1, and 6 months. MEDI491 was safe and immunogenic. What's immunogenic? All volunteers developed neutralizing antibody titers, TITERS, that peaked after the third immunization and were sustained through study day 364. Jesus. Parvovirus B19 produces mild self-limiting illness in immunocompetent, hematologically normal individuals. However, it can cause a variety of more serious conditions, including erythema infectiosum in children, transient aplastic crisis, or crises, I think really. Well, anyway, transient aplastic crisis in patients with hemolytic anemia. Sickle cell is one of those. Chronic red blood cell aplasia and anemia in immunodeficient patients, which sickle cell is all of these basically. Persistent arthropathy in adults and hydrops fetalis or abortion in pregnant women. Antiviral drugs are not available for blah, 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 blah. There was, so this worked, but the other one didn't. Hold on, there's more. Go back. There was more. This is useless. A significant increase in the number of cases is seen every 3 to 4 years. The last epidemic year was 1998. Well, that's a lot more than 3 or 4 years ago. But it is a 3, so it's every 3, or if it was 4, that would work. If it's 3, that would be 3 goes into 24 8 times. 4 goes into 24 6 times. Wow, that's interesting. So we could be in an outbreak year right now. Outbreaks can arise especially in nurseries and schools. Parvovirus B19 causes an infection in humans only. Cat and dog parvoviruses do not infect humans. There is no vaccine available for human parvovirus B19, though attempts have been made to develop one, period. There was footnote 6 at the comma and footnote 26, I should say, 27 at the period. Fifth disease. So, virology, here we go. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Like other non-enveloped DNA viruses, of which parvovirus is one, pathogenicity of parvovirus B19 involves binding to host cell receptors. Those would be my primordial blood cells in the bone marrow. Thank you. Internalization, translocation of the genome to the host nucleus, DNA replication, RNA transcription, assembly of capsids, just like a fucking factory, and packaging of the genome, and finally cell lysis, that's when they fucking rupture, with release of the mature virions. In humans, the P antigen, or P1, PK, or whatever the fuck, also known as globicide, is the cellular receptor for parvovirus B19 virus that causes erythema infectiosum, fifth disease, in children. This infection is sometimes complicated by severe aplastic anemia. Again, sickle cell anemia, you get aplastic crises caused by lysis of early erythroid precursors. It's the red blood cells that are brand new. The most recent common ancestor of the extant strains has been dated to about 12,600 years ago. 3 genotypes, 1, 2, and 3, are recognized, and there's subtypes too, apparently. A recombination between Types 1 and 3 gave rise to genotype 2 between 5,000 and 6,800 years ago.
Up until the last 30 years, they used to light the tracks on the railway tracks. They weren't electrified back then. They were still putting the kerosene on and lighting them. And so I don't remember the McCall incident. As I say, I was just a kid going to school, but it was fun too because we were looking down at the people sitting in the streetcar. We could see them reading the paper and doing all that kind of stuff. But back then you wouldn't moon them, but today they probably would.
No, they throw rocks.
If they wanted to, I guess, really take that chance and risk the blue moon. You know, the streetcar incident I was mentioning, and again, I can't blame you for not remembering, but of course, in that particular snowstorm in 44, this was on the Queen East car near Mutual Street, it tipped over. The snow and the wind apparently knocked it off its tracks. It trapped 170 people. It killed one person. The police and TTC workers had to spend 45 minutes chopping with axes to get the passengers out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that was one of those instances where I guess today we don't see it quite as severe. The other thing was this was in a time of war. Tell me if you recall, you were saying that the kids still went to school or they were let out at noon. There was no such thing as a snow day. But there were also people who were sort of, I guess, required to be at work. It was an essential service at the time.
Before you had big, huge snowstorms, there were no snow days. Yes, we know. That makes perfect logical sense.
Any word on that?
Doesn't mean you were tougher. It means you didn't have this type of snow.
Seeing a lot of women, the ladies used to go and do the magician work back then. There was more ladies probably waiting for streetcars than there were men. And if you just have a minute, there's a cute story. Back when they had horses on the pulling the horses in Toronto, the streetcars, and a horse dropped dead on Ronsonsville's Avenue, and the policeman was pulling it across over to King Street, and somebody said, "What are you doing?" He says, "I have to write a report, and I don't know how to spell Ronsonsville."
Bring it to King. There you go.
Things have changed. You're right.
Yeah, well, maybe not so much. I mean, that sounds almost like it would be a true story related to the police.
RONCY.
Anyway, I'm told 13 of 21 deaths in that particular storm back in 44 was a result of heart attacks caused, people overexerting themselves, shoveling the snow and things like that. I guess that was a time before snowblowers, right?
Yeah, there was. In fact, one thing about the snow today, it's very light, even though it's fairly deep.
We've had trains for 100 years before that with snow blowers on them.
It's hard to show, I guess, as it was maybe back then. But it was certainly piled up there. And as I say, we were walking on top of it all the way to Close Avenue, just beside Jameson Avenue on King Street.
Sure. David, tell me, how long did it take Toronto to get back to normal after that big snowfall? It must have hung around a while.
Well, they didn't have the equipment like we do today, and it was there for a long time. In fact, in the curbs it stayed for a long time back, probably into Christmas time.
That's right, because it was December 11th. So
right.
If you were dreaming of a white Christmas, you got your dream fulfilled.
You got it, yeah.
Right. And that was fairly early in the season, too, I guess, even though we did have one recently, I guess, in early December, but nothing like the one in 44 or the one today, for that matter, as well. You know, it's a real joy to catch up on you, with you, rather, and get the sense of, I guess, perspective that sometimes, you know, Toronto will get hit with these big snowfalls, and we ought not to freak out. Back in 98, you recall when Mel Lastman called.
So it's my spleen that hurts when I keep reaching up here. Fifth disease. It is so named because it was the fifth most common cause of a pink-red infection-associated rash to be described by physicians. Many of the others, such as measles and rubella, are rare now. That may be technically true. Why is it in this article? Once infected patients usually develop the illness. There's a snowplow. There's probably a skidoo. What the fuck else would that sound like that? A lower Japanese car? I doubt it. Because it wouldn't make it up the street there. Once infected, patients usually develop the illness after an incubation period of 4 to 14 days. The disease commences with high fever and malaise. I'm going to fucking die. You keep hearing me saying. When the virus is most abundant in the bloodstream, and patients are usually no longer infectious once the characteristic rash of this disease has appeared. Okay, usual doesn't apply to me here, okay? The following symptoms are characteristic. A usual brief viral prodrome with fever, headache, nausea, diarrhea, period. I've never noticed diarrhea to come along with this virus. The H7N9 makes me die, or whatever the fuck it was, makes me fucking puke water. My whole insides reject everything. As the fever breaks, a red rash forms on the cheeks with relative pallor around the mouth. Quote unquote slap cheek rash. Well, it's somewhere else it says slap cheek syndrome, so you're not quoting, are you? Sparing the nasolabial folds, forehead, and mouth. Okay, I don't know. That's apparently what kids get. Quote, lace-like, with a hyphen, comma, bracket, reticular, end quote, red rash on trunk or extremities, then follows the facial rash. Infection in adults usually only involves the reticular rash, with multiple joint pain predominating. So I don't get the face thing. I get bumps all over everywhere else. Exacerbation of rash by sunlight, heat, and stress. And the problem is when you use the term rash, a lot of very arrogant, I don't even know if ignorance is the word, they're arrogant white supremacists keep referring to my being black as a skin condition. I'm going to pray for your skin condition. I'm losing my pigment, and they think they're praying for my skin condition of being black. AIDS. Oh, so we have, this works both ways apparently. Parvovirus B19 is a cause of chronic anemia in individuals who have AIDS. It is frequently overlooked. Treatment with intravenous yet you refuse to test anybody. You refuse to treat sickle cell. It might have something to do with black people. No, we're not testing. Treatment with intravenous immunoglobulin usually resolves the anemia, although relapse can, it's not a relapse. It's anemia is chronic. Like AIDS is terminal. It's not just chronic, it's terminal. The parvovirus infection may trigger an inflammatory reaction in AIDS patients who have just begun antiretroviral therapy. Hold on. Is that good or bad? Arthritis and arthralgias. Oh, Jesus. Arthralgias and arthritis are commonly reported in association with parvovirus B19 infection in adults, whereas erythema infectiosum is the main symptom observed in children. The occurrence of arthralgia coincides with the initial detection of circulating LGM and LGG antibodies against the viral structural proteins VP1 and VP2. Parvovirus B19 infection may affect the development of arthritis. It causes it. So does. Oh, damn, where'd it go? In adults and perhaps some children, parvovirus B19 can lead to a seronegative arthritis, which is usually easily controlled with analgesics, if you can get the drugs. Black people wait twice as long in the ER, half as likely to get the proper medication or any medication. I haven't gotten medication in over 2 years.
Only at Subway, and only here for a limited time. Subway, eat fresh. Freshly prepared for your order. Limited time at participating restaurants. Extras additional plus tax.
Well, I won't back down. No, I won't.
Women are approximately twice as likely as men to experience arthritis after parvovirus infection. Possibly up to 15% of all new cases of arthritis are due to parvovirus, and a history of recent contact with a patient and positive serology generally confirms the diagnosis. So even without a B19 test, you can be diagnosed with arthritis. But for some reason, the doctors I have are refusing to give me any medication for anything until they study my hemoglobin. Which is an excuse because they've done hundreds of blood tests and they keep not doing. They'll do one test with 3 vials of blood to tell me my cholesterol. It's like, I didn't ask for my cholesterol. I'm anemic. The cholesterol has no fucking effect here. No business here.
Putting in a special effect here where you have to, they are basically, because of the amount of snow that has come down and the sheer volume of it that has fallen so quickly, they need people to be off the roads as much as possible. So they've invoked a special clause that the city has, which basically will give snow plows kind of free reign to get in and clean out the snow, not only push it to the side, but clear it out in a lot of instances, because it is 50 to 60 centimeters when all said and done.
Clear it out. So where, stupid?
More snow in the forecast later this week. Natasha Ramsahai, our meteorologist, says that's coming pretty quickly.
There's more snow to come as well. The traditional snow belts have to watch for lake effect snow and possibly squalls tonight into tomorrow.
No, it's not the traditional snow belts that have to watch for that. It's the places near lakes and bodies of water. Possibly, this arthritis does not progress to other forms of arthritis. Typically, joint symptoms last 1 to 3 weeks, but in 10 to 20% of those affected, it may last weeks to months. A Danish study has links between B19 with polymyalgia rheumatica. What is that? Oh, aplastic crises. Although most patients have a decrease of erythropoiesis, POIE, whatever, production of red blood cells during parvovirus infection, it is most dangerous in patients with pre-existing bone marrow stress, for example, sickle cell anemia or hereditary spherocytosis, and are therefore heavily dependent on erythropoiesis due to the reduced lifespan of the red cells. This is termed aplastic crisis, also called reticulocytopenia. It is treated with blood transfusion. Yeah, it's that serious. It's not a fucking joke. Everybody keeps pretending I've got some, like, I don't know what they think it is. Like when I say I'm in pain, I get told, "Oh, do you hear voices you don't nobody else hears?" If I did, how would I know if other people heard them or not? Like, I've always wondered about that question. Okay? And they'll write up anything on these reports, but they will not mention that I am repeatedly asking for fucking pain medication and fucking anemia medication. And no, hydroxyurea won't do it. Making more blood cells means more virus. That's it. Like, me making more blood doesn't help anything. Every time I put on weight, you get more blood cells going. The virus also peaks. There's a lag, like a turbocharger lag. That's not a fucking joke.
46.9. Did you know the Freestyle Libre 2 system lets...
Back in the early 50s, there was a visionary who worked for GM. His name was Harley Earl. And he was interested in developing a 2-seat sports car because the Europeans sort of had a lock on the market at the time. Mercedes,
yeah, because nobody wanted that shit.
So anyway, he decided that he wanted to put something together. He put it together for the show, and this thing started to be produced in Flint, Michigan, later in June of that year in '53. All fiberglass body, white exterior, red interior, very sharp. If you can see, something that's still... There were relatively few in existence, maybe in Jay Leno's garage, but the early permutation, 100.
I don't care. Parvovirus infection in pregnant women is associated with hydrops fetalis due to severe fetal anemia, sometimes leading to miscarriage or stillbirth. Which, by the way, so everybody misuses the term abortion. Anytime the pregnancy is ended, that is called a medical abortion, and a miscarriage or a stillbirth is a medical abortion. This is due to a combination of hemolysis of the red blood cells as well as the virus directly negatively affecting the red blood cell precursors in the bone marrow. The risk of fetal loss is about 10% if infection occurs before pregnancy week 20, especially between weeks 14 and 20, but minimal after that. Routine screening of the antenatal sample would enable the pregnant mother to determine the risk of infection. Knowledge of her status would allow the mother to avoid contact with individuals suspected or known to have an ongoing infection. However, at the present time, and this is why I wrote it on the side of my thing, but I'm not like, there's no point in going for a hemoglobin test. I'm infected with fucking AIDS, you retard. The only way for me to have this B19 virus is with like you're like they won't come out and say we don't believe you. They wanted me to give them all the details of the diagnosis from the other doctor. I'm like, what do you mean? Like they wanted all of her information. They didn't just want to know the diagnosis and the doctor's name. They wanted all of her. I don't know how to explain. Since there is no good, however, at the present time, antenatal testing for immunity is not recommended since there is no good means to prevent the infection. There is no specific therapy, and there are no vaccines available. It may increase maternal anxiety and fear without proven benefit. The best approach would be, so this is all somebody's opinion. I don't know how it ended up in Wikipedia. The best approach, this is so quote unquote somebody's opinion, the best approach would be to recommend all pregnant women to avoid contact with children with current symptoms of infection. No shit. As described above. The risk to the fetus will be reduced with correct diagnosis of the anemia by ultrasound scans and treatment by blood transfusions. There is some evidence that intrauterine parvovirus B19 infection leads to developmental abnormalities in childhood. Treatment. At the moment, there are no treatments that directly target parvovirus B19 virus. Intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, IVIG, shouldn't it be IVGT, therapy has intravenous immunoglobulin therapy, IVIG therapy has been a popular alternative because doctors can administer it without stopping chemotherapy drugs like MEL-ASCTI. So it's been proven it's been proven you live 9 years longer on average by not having chemotherapy. Why? Chemotherapy is just, if we kill all your cells, they won't have cancer anymore. You know what radiation does? Yeah, same issue. If they kill all your cells, they won't have cancer anymore. They'll stop reproducing if we kill them. Cancer is uncontrolled reproduction. Also, the treatment side effects are rare, as only 4 out of 133 patients had complications, 2 had acute kidney injury, and 2 had pulmonary edema. Even though 69 of the patients had organ transplants and 39 of them were HIV positive. Okay, so that's not that bad. That'd be 108 out of the 133. This is a large improvement over administering rituximab. What is rituximab? The monoclonal, remember, this is all somebody's opinion the way it's written. The monoclonal antibody against the CD20 protein has been shown to cause acute hepatitis, neutropenia via parvovirus B19 reactivations, and even persistent parvovirus B19 infection. Hold on. What? The monoclonal antibody against the CD20 protein. So it's not the same protein that this new near-metrolavir or whatever. That's what I was trying to find out. That's what I've been at for an hour and a half trying to figure out. Okay, has been shown to cause acute hepatitis, neutropenia via parvovirus B19 reactive. How are you reactivating it? And even persistent parvovirus B19 infection. However, it is important to note that IVIG therapy is not perfect, as 34% of treated patients will have a relapse after 4 months. Oh, so the therapy that you think you're going to tell me I have to go get, I'm not going for blood transfusions? It's not a solution. Because if your solution to my problem right now is blood transfusion, then that means next week I have to get another one, and next week another one. That's not a solution. Boca virus. No, I'm not looking that up. Vaccination. As of 2020, no approved human vaccine existed against parvovirus B19.
Because there are none. At my law firm, my team of lawyers only get paid when you get paid. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 416-661-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD.
Watch, listen, connect. This is City News 680 everywhere.
-3 wind chill, -12. We do have the light snow continues, but it's blowing snow that is the problem right now. Good afternoon, I'm Charlene Close. Here are the top stories right now. Hundreds of drivers still stuck on parts of the 401 through the GTA, mostly on the eastbound 401 from the 427 to Kiel. And OPP and MTO have no idea when they'll be able to get to them. They've been there, many of them, since 8 o'clock this morning. Check the exhaust pipe of your vehicle as well as your furnace outdoor vents. Clear them of any snow that might be blocking. There is the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Health Canada approving this country's first antiviral therapeutic pill to fight COVID-19. Time now for sports from
If you have vents that you can access, then it is direct vented. The snow is not 7 feet tall. Okay, so, and if it's the only way you're going to get a buildup of the exhaust without is if it's negative pressure ventilated or whatever, with a direct vent out but not in. And the furnace melts the snow. You can literally pile it there. That's the biggest heat loss out of your basement, is where your furnace is. CD20. So what was the other protease and
Felix Auger.
No, it's true. It's true that that's a carbon monoxide risk. But with these direct vented appliances, what'll happen is it'll fucking not light. It'll shut off, whatever. Like, it'll burn off the air inside the pipe, and then it'll be done. Like, I'm confused what you think you're saving people. You know what you should have done for the last 10 years? Told people to stop engineering their own vent pipes. I see, like, the smallest, skinniest fucking plastic pipes. It's the wrong plastic. People are putting homemade grills over the vent. I'm going to use the skinniest pipe and block it halfway with stuff. They got them within the 60 centimeters or whatever, 2 feet between them, and any window openings. And you got vents. Some of these houses, it's basically an exposed basement. I don't know. The whole strip of row houses is like, you have to go down steps for the fucking basement and up steps for the other duplex thing. It's weird as shit. And they all have their vent pipes surrounded by concrete. I can't figure out why they think this is acceptable. Like, when there's no wind and they're using the hot water, the heat, the dryer, and whatever furnace they got going on, you can't breathe walking up the sidewalk next to these houses. You can't breathe.
People. She says another 100.
Opening the window won't help you because the vents are right next to the window.
It helps to prevent the virus that causes COVID-19 from reproducing in an infected person. Coming up in 60 seconds, a check of the snowy drive, and we'll find out what's happening with your extended forecast. City News Time 4:50.
Switching your car and home insurance to Bel Air Direct with an online quote could save you up to $750. So you can get yourself a new set of golf clubs. Sure, you've never played around in your life, but nothing says that.
Safety League, we'll put this all in some kind of context when it comes to where people have to be mindful of safety first and foremost. Brian, always a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yeah, I think, you've heard me say for years, for winter tires, for winter driving, and it's all about the physics. It's not about the Highway Traffic Act, and care, cautious, slow down, etc. And today we have what I like to call the anti-traxers. The traction coefficient that's required, that doesn't apply to them. That's baloney science. They don't believe it. They can get by. And as I'm watching these some of these incidents on TV where they've got a good shot, you can see, Honda Civic, low profile tires, no winter tire. And they led to a situation that involved 3 tractor trailers that were, doing their best to stay and play. And I watched the snowplows. I've actually been in a snowplow, John. And these people that decide, hey, I can go around it. I'm gonna follow the guy on the extreme right. They're throwing tons of snow, and they will cut your car in half if you decide to sneak in between them.
Those plow blades cover the next 2 lanes.
Those blades are high steel. So,
like 20, 25 feet wide.
Driving people are not having the same sort of difficulties, although it is difficult. But boy, the Summer Tire Club meeting should be at the Collision Reporting Center tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, boy, they're going to be swamped, I'm sure. Brian, but it's like you can't fix stupid. I mean, there are some folks who just
they're actually required to report correctly.
Whatever these precautionary notes are that you're telling us, even in the best of times. So, I don't know, do you ever think that maybe we need a winter driving course specifically?
I think when I look at the work that we do, CAA does, other organizations, I mean, you can't get through a winter in Ontario, or certainly within Toronto, without having been told multiple times, have your washer fluid full and have a full jug in your vehicle. Have your winter tires on. Have your old ski jacket, a blanket, some granola
you're
bars,
outside. You need fucking
some fluid,
winter clothes, retard.
And that old Sorrel.
My car will take the car I neglect will take care of me. No, it won't.
It's not that it happens all the time, but when it happens, I love to be able to open the trunk of my truck because I've got all that gear in there. I've got jumper cables for the guy who got stuck. I've got a tow.
By the way, you do not connect the black wire battery to battery. No, you do not. The black wire goes from frame to frame or engine block to engine block. It does not connect the batteries. No, it does not. That's why your battery explodes in your face.
Whatever.
Where's he riding the bike? Come on, where's he riding the bike?
Down Avenue Road.
Man.
This morning at 11 o'clock. So people walking on the road.
That's dumb. That's so dumb. Common sense says that no. After the earthquake in California, the only vehicles that can get around are bicycles, because when you can't keep riding, you can carry it. That's why you saw the bike.
Police ran a brilliant campaign, Be Bright at Night, so that they're out there. I love seeing all the people in our neighborhood that have their dog leashes. Now they've got LED lights on them. They're reflective. The dogs were in one of those carrier kind of things with lots of reflective tape on it. Not only am I going to see the dog, but I know attached to the dog is a person. So I just, you can't, I don't know if that's the right politically correct term, that you can't fix stupid, but I don't think it's a lack of education. I mean, your radio station has probably been
politically, because the vast number of, you'd never be surprised at how many stupid people there are.
Where to go, where not to go. I mean, if the chief of police says stay in if it's not critical, that trip to Starbucks, in my view, ain't critical.
Yeah, so I was asking earlier, though, do you think that maybe we ought to have winter driving?
But those retail workers are essential
to make sure that people, some people just can't negotiate. Go ahead.
It is part of the basic driver education program we have now for everybody. But, most people want to take their driving in the summer and they don't get that opportunity. Online training's available for people.
There's not much special you need to know.
I think there's people who say, well, let's bring everybody back and have them redo their tests in the middle of the winter. Well, drive test is behind 700,000.
Yeah, let's double up the number of tests. It's arbitrary. I have my license forever. You need to do tests over and over and over because you're a half-breed nigger lover. You see why I'm not paying for the license?
Gets you a little bit of a benefit.
$1,627 for what?
$2,500 deductible because you slid in to the car in front of you, or some Lugan slid into you with their low-profile tires. You're tied up for.
Why do you have damage insurance? That's insuring yourself against damaging your own shit. I think I'm more likely to damage my shit.
About that. It's not always a person who's at fault. It's sometimes the idiot that drifts into them or just hasn't seen enough I guess of this kind of driving condition to know
it's not the person at fault.
The brakes have to be applied a little sooner than you would think. Anyway, Brian, by the way, you didn't mention flares in that package that you have in your trunk.
John, I have an LED lighting system that I bought from Amazon that looks like a hockey puck, and when I put it on my car, it sends out a yellow light sequence in all directions, and I can get it pulsing. I don't have to set anything on fire to be safe on the road, John.
Okay, so the flare is now somewhat of an anachronism.
Where are we going with this
I got your
conversation? No,
point.
seriously.
Brian, thanks for the heads up. It's always appreciated.
The TSX higher as Bay Street closes out trading for the day. It's sitting at 21,537 points, a gain of 180 points, nearly a full percent. We also have commodities trading electronically today as Wall Street was closed for a federal holiday. Oil sitting higher by 45 cents, 0.5% to $83.75 US per barrel, and gold is also higher by $2.40 to $1,819 per ounce, while the Canadian dollar has gained 21 hundredths of a cent, 79.85 cents US. While traveling to the U.S. and coming back, Toronto Pearson Airport, Canada's busiest airport, as well as Air Canada and WestJet, issued a joint letter to the federal government calling on them to scrap the testing measures in place for returning travelers. The letter, signed by chief medical officers for the airlines and the airport, refers to the stressed lab capacities and that resources could be better utilized in communities rather than automatically for travelers. Frederick Dimanche is professor at Ryerson University and director at Ted Rogers School of Hospitality and Tourism Management.
Oh, so you're not biased at all. You got one of your employees. You donate money to yourself to pay this guy's salary, then write yourself a fucking tax receipt.
Being willing to come to Canada to visit friends, family, for pleasure, for business. And you are being told that not only will you have to take a PCR test before flying, but another one on arrival. And until you get the result of that test, you're going to have to be on quarantine, and there is no assurance that this could be done in 24 hours.
You got so much shit to do, really?
Markets being closed today in lieu of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday.
Notice how they're telling us the vaccinated, unvaccinated numbers, because that's more relevant than the case numbers. And then it went up to the 1,800 or whatever. They stopped telling us that, started telling us how many deaths and hospitalizations.
At the City News Business Center, I'm
but they won't tell us the case numbers.
Investing doesn't have to be daunting.
They still haven't told us the case
You already
numbers.
do it. If you've updated your kitchen or basement, you're already an investor. If you collect vintage vinyl, yep, you're an investor.
No, you're not. Neither of those things are an investment. You pay, so every time you employ somebody, so here's where you think you're finding an efficiency. You think you're finding an efficiency because you're hiring a subcontractor to do it. Aside from the fact that you're liable for this person, say if this person gets a paper cut and it causes them mental anguish the rest of their lives, it's in your personal name. But they're a subcontractor, whatever, so they're just not going to report income taxes, payroll deductions, and that's where you get these things you think are efficiencies. They're not efficiencies. That's not an investment. You're paying huge markups on labor for what? I see these $50,000 kitchens. They're horrible. Horrible. Oh, we got granite and marble and stainless steel fridge. What are you doing with your $18,000 stainless steel fridge? You cannot put magnets on it. And it will break the day after your warranty expires. Yeah, why? Because they're not joking. They've been telling you for years. They make more money on the repairs and the parts out of warranty than they make on selling you the shit in the first place. Why do you think you get you like a 3-year extended warranty? Think about that. Jesus, this is all such bullshit. This is all such bullshit to deal with. You're not an investor. Your house is a liability. Again, the only reason it might look like it makes money because you yourself are part of a bulge of people, right? We're all going to live here. You should all come here to make my house worth more, and then I won't be able to afford to live here no more. That makes a lot of sense.
Weather Center is open. The Premier helps drive home stranded motorists.
This is Doug Ford. I'm the taxi driver today.
We go one-on-one with the Premier coming up.
Alex Kerfoot found a way to get to Leafs practice today. Trying to make it out, didn't go too well, and then had to Uber here. And without Kyle Lowry, the Heat host the Raptors. Sports at 15.
Even though the majority of the snow has fallen, blowing snow will still continue to be a problem. Farnell says he believes this will be a top 5 storm of all time as far as snowfall in the 24-hour period goes. He says by mid-afternoon, about 38 centimeters had fallen in downtown Toronto, along with 45 centimeters in north of Etobicoke, as well as Whitby.
Seeing 40 to 50 generally. The west side of town is a little bit less, closer to 30. And then as you go east, Whitby, 50 to some areas around there, 55, 60 centimeters. So that is, I guess, the big winner, if you would call it that, as far as this storm.
The last time Toronto saw a storm with more than 25 centimeters was in 2019. The last time there was over 30 was in 2008. Now, the storm has wreaked havoc on infrastructure across the GTA highways, and many roads have been impassable with the amount of snow, and the extreme weather forced the shutdown of two of Toronto's major arteries. The Garner Expressway and the DVP were both closed in both directions for several hours. Crews were struggling to keep the roads cleared as several vehicles were stuck in snowdrifts or had been in accidents. Mayor John Tory says that police recommended the city shut down the highways to help move any vehicles.
Back in the 90s, in like 95, 96, there were potholes this big through the fucking garden.
Have been seen on pretty much all GTA highways.
I've been talking to these drivers, and they've been sitting here for up to 6-7 hours. Since 7 a.m., some vehicles have been stuck in the snow. And you don't think about having an emergency kit when you're driving on the 401, only maybe when you're going up north to go ice fishing or someplace remote. But here, these guys, drivers don't have phone chargers. They don't have
common sense,
a shovel or a pair of boots. And now
these are the idiots we have as cops. The dumbest, most inbred redneck pieces of shit you can imagine.
They headed out this morning.
There are still some major delays out there, but the Gardner and DVP reopened earlier.
Minus 40 out there. You wouldn't think you'd need clothes.
Plows and salters are out doing their jobs and says all the cleanup will take about 14 to 16 hours before plowing operations are complete. He also says that an emergency snowstorm condition has been imposed.
It always takes 16 hours.
Signs that are along a lot of the major routes that say emergency snow route, that parking will be prohibited along there so that we can remove the snow and complete our plowing operations in an efficient manner. It does mean that in circumstances where a car might have been left there and there's no apparent movement of that car, that on those snow routes, that those cars can receive a friendly tow.
Tory also says staffing wasn't an issue, as snow removal departments had full staffing complements, as the city has been dealing with absenteeism due to Omicron like many other sectors. Tory says any absentee employees were replaced, and that allowed them to have full crews out on the roads. Meantime, if you have driven around today, many people have reported seeing many TTC buses stuck or out of service. TTC says in a statement that a majority of their fleet is stuck in the snow. Spokesperson Stuart Green says at last count, it was around 540 of its nearly 1,300 buses that are stuck. Premier Doug Ford was driving around Etobicoke today, helping drivers who got stuck and giving people rides. Premier's office provided photos of Ford, showing him helping to free a stuck vehicle at Kipling and Eglinton. A Ford spokesperson said that the Premier was out all morning helping people, either giving them a lift or helping them get their car out of side roads.
Well, just trying to help people out. And we pulled some people out, driven some people home. Just trying to help them like everyone else does. It's just showing the Ontario spirit and getting out there, and everyone's just pitching in.
A video posted on TikTok showed the Premier giving a person a lift. Some social media users were quick to point out that the two were not wearing a mask in the car. Toronto Raptors are in Miami to take on the Heat, but Kyle Lowry won't be facing his former team. He's out for personal reasons. It would have been Lowry's first game against the Raptors since he was acquired by Miami.
I'm going to point something out. I have never seen the Premier wearing a proper mask. No, it's either polyester or polyester. No, that's not woven material. It's not a proper mask. Also, you keep saying not to wear a wet mask, which makes no sense. If it's a proper cotton one, it'll actually catch more particles. But these polyester things, guess what? You breathe on them once at minus 20, and they're wet. They're frozen. You can't breathe through them. You're being retarded. Also, wearing all the heavy clothes and stuff when you're outside of the vehicle. The cold air contains more oxygen. When you get back in the vehicle wearing all this shit and there's less oxygen in the heated air, you also have to take off the mask or you will be producing more droplets. The air is going to bypass around because you all have these little tiny masks that are exactly the same size as your mouth. That doesn't work. You notice the carburetor opening is this big and the air filter is this fucking big?
The way I always